Bonjour, ahoy, and kia ora. Welcome to the 7th week of the Star Insurance Specialist Project Cars 2 New Zealand Championship. Coming to you live from LPL Studios right in the heart of Auckland City in the Sky Tower itself. And once more, you're joined by Matt, Simon, and Brendan, the premier team to bring all of the motorsports, esports action to you right at home. Guys, we've had a fantastic journey so far, but we're not done just yet. I just want to get your thoughts on the competition so far. And with Jordan Penne at the front, can anyone take him out?
Well, after last week, we saw a huge upset. And we're going to touch on that upset a bit later on. But yes, people can take them out. This sort of 7 weeks in, this is where you really want the championship to heat up. And you don't really want someone with a big lead, I should say. So it's good. We've got a tight championship. First, second, third. Anyone is in for the money in that first, second, third position. So I'm excited, definitely.
All right. And Simon as well. Pick one racer that's not Jordan Penne. Who's going to take him out tonight?
I think it has to be Josh Ritchie. You know, you look at sort of what happened last week in terms of, you know, the performances of those guys up the front. Unfortunately for someone like Jordan, who had that untimely sort of era, I suppose you could call it. It was a bit disappointing. So yeah, the points now are tighter than Auckland traffic on Tuesday, really. So it's really good to see the championship standings are really starting to narrow now.
All right, guys. Well, if you're sitting at home and you want to earn yourself a copy of the game, boy, do we have the opportunity for you. You just have to jump onto Twitter, tweet at Let's Play Live HQ with the hashtag ProjectCars2NZ that you can find down there somewhere, and tell us, what is the ideal road trip song? And guys, I'm going to get your opinions on this. They haven't told me yet either. So, Brendan, what's the best road trip song of all time?
Danger Zone. You know, with Top Gun coming back out, Danger Zone. That's me.
Can you give us a taste?
No, definitely
not. All right. Well, maybe a bit later. Simon, what's your one? Did he take yours?
No. I'm going to go with Lowrider by War.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't expecting that one, but I can see how it works. Yeah. I can see how it works. I'm going to go with Carry On My Wayward Son.
Not Britney Spears?
Not this week.
Oh, okay.
No. I'm going to go full Supernatural, take on the Carry On My Wayward Son. It's perfect for road trips. But guys, that is how you can win yourself a copy of the game. So make sure you get onto Twitter and do just that. Now, guys, we also last week had some pretty intense action. There was a lot of drama, but we'll talk about that just a little bit later. But let's talk about who started winning these races.
Yeah, so it was good to see Scott McQueen converting his really good start off the line. Got into the lead at turn 1, but it wasn't for long. Robert Northway, he took the lead, but then on lap 3 made a crucial mistake. He dropped that left rear wheel onto the grass and he looped it down midway through that lap. We saw Scott McQueen come home, winning by a long way. Josh Ritchie in second and Jordan Penne in third.
Yeah, race 2 was filled with drama galore. That was when we've seen a lot of changes as this championship heats up, and there's technical things that are coming on. Tyres is a big one, which means pit strategies. Pit strategies saw Penne and Northway and a few others going for an early pit. We're going to touch on that in a second. But this week, because of their mistakes, it was all about Josh Ritchie and Scott McQueen, and that was awesome to see. These guys have the rivalry going at the moment. They're kind of the crowd favourites because there's so much, I guess, rivalry going on with it, or emotion between these two. So that was a cool one to watch.
And Scott McQueen, I mean, you already saw he won race 1, so he's no stranger to winning these races. But Josh Ritchie has the most second-place finishes out of any racer in the championship. And so he was battling hard to get that first-place finish. And in fact, that's exactly what he managed to do right at the end of the race. And you can even see it on his face. The emotion there, he was absolutely stoked to finally get that big W under his belt. But as you can see, the points that all the racers earned during last week, Scott McQueen, along with his fastest lap, actually put him in first place, 1 point ahead of Josh Ritchie.
Yeah, it's really good to see a newbie up there, Jake Kennedy Parker. You know, that's refreshing. Even more, you know, it's solid. He's had some really good results. Not really usual seeing Jordan Penne down there in 5th position. Michael Robinson, Louis de Manila. Unfortunately, that's where we see Louis a bit. And a bit of, you know, Robert Northway. We want to see him deliver some really good results, but again, just those spins.
Yeah, well, we'll also take a look at the total leaderboard so far. So this is where all the races stand. Jordan Penne miles ahead of first place, but the gap has shortened. And Josh Ritchie, Scott McQueen, 2 points apart in second and third, respectively. And Robert Northway, well, he had a bit of a dull race last week, but now he's sitting in 4th place, and that gap itself has widened as well.
Yeah, it's good to see even more sort of sitting right there as well. But that championship fight, first, second, and third, there's $10,000 on the line. It's great to see these guys are actually really getting involved in motorsport and really embracing this championship. There's a lot of viewership as well. New Zealand's embraced this championship as well, and there's a lot of motorsport people watching at home. So cheers for tuning in. But first, second, third, that's what we're going to be watching for. You said your money was on Josh Ritchie. My money's on Scott McQueen for sure.
Well, I'm also going to stick with Josh Ritchie as well. But first, I want to talk to you guys about something else that happened last week. And as everyone at home just saw, Jordan Penne, Robert Northway, they kind of fell off the ladder a little bit. And, Brendan, I want you to talk us through why. What happened?
Well, in any normal motorsport, you have pit strategy. So you've got to choose when that is, and sometimes pit strategies are compulsory, or you might have to drive through the pits. And this time there was a pit; it was compulsory stop, and you had to go from wets to from dries to wet because the rain came into this race. So a lot of these drivers chose to stay out. But a few drivers, Penne and Northway, here's Northway, chose to go in early. And what happened was, unfortunately for these guys, the game put them back out on dries. So they came out on dry tyres. And it's vital. It's absolutely vital to be on wet when it's wet. And it was driver error. So they were really frustrated. You can see there, Jordan Penne, it was uncontrollable. A real uncharacteristic move by the championship leader.
Yeah, I mean, he's not only been just first place in so many races, but just consistently he's been in the lead and not crashing. That's such a big point. And unfortunately, his consistency just fell off the truck in this one. So another one I want to talk about as well is that a new system we've got in place, pretty recent, is the ability to, contest some penalties that may have occurred in the races. And we actually had one of those for last week's race.
Yeah, guys, so if you're in a normal motorsport track anywhere in New Zealand and you do a oopsie and you cut a track or a curb or anything, the stewards can actually say, you're going to drive through the pits or you're going to get a time penalty. So as the championship progresses, what we've done as well is we've actually included a protest system for the drivers. So if you get taken out by another driver, in case Louis de Manila got taken out by Robert Northway, you can protest that. So Robert Northway actually got his tyre change wrong. He came back out on dries. That just chucked it under the boat. He pushed down and he took out Louis de Manila. And Louis was actually having a really good race, lots of good battles. So unfortunately for Louis, he got taken out of a race that he might have got a good result on. Louis put his hand up and goes, guys, I think that was unfair. And unfortunately for Robert Northway, he's got some really big things under his belt as far as records go. Got docked 5 championship points from those stewards up above.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of an incentive to, race properly, race cleanly as well.
Exactly.
I mean, and while it may not be Robert Northway's fault entirely, it's the fact that, Louis is impacted, and that shouldn't really be the case. So, of course, that is going to be the result of that protest, losing 5 championship points. Now, guys, I also want to talk about the results of this because with Penne and Northway out of the picture, Scott McQueen and, importantly, Josh Ritchie shot right up that leaderboard, getting really well-earned points, with Josh Ritchie picking up his first win. And speaking of the man, we actually have him ready to talk to us right now. Josh Ritchie, first off, how are you doing? How are you feeling after the race now that a week has passed?
Yeah, it's been a good time to take inventory and actually sort of process how all that's gone down. I was really surprised, obviously, with how badly the race went for Jordan and Robert, and then you've got to take these on board and make the most of the opportunity, and, we know how that played out on last Tuesday.
Josh, we sort of saw how those races played out. There were a lot of retirements, I suppose, in terms of the key guys. For someone like Jordan, obviously, he's lost a handful of points to his name. For you now, you're right up there as well as Scott McQueen. Do you feel like that points margin has narrowed just enough for you to say, maybe I can be a championship contender and take that $5,000?
Well, heading into this event, mate, or last event rather, it was 50-ish points between myself and Jordan, now down to about 30 odds. So when you consider that, if Jordan has another howler in this event, anything's on the table for the next race in Watkins Glen and Road America. So in the end, I just got to take the race as it comes. I'm going in it with a pretty casual mindset, not lazy mindset, but, I'm just enjoying the racing that I'm having so far, and generally that's when I'm at my best. So, hey, I'm just going to take it as it comes, and hopefully the results will be there at the end.
Now, Josh, you're a guy that wears his heart on his sleeve, and we've seen a lot of emotion from you, which is really cool. You know, you've got to have characteristics in motorsport. That's how you get big followings. Now, one thing I sort of notice is you're a clean racer. You got taken out, and you're quite emotional about that in previous races, but you came back out on track and you didn't cut curbs and so forth. What's your strategy been from the start? And now that you've gotten used to these guys racing, has your strategy changed in this game at all?
Well, yeah, it's good to be mindful of other competitors, but I mean, what happened with Barcelona with myself and Scott, I've had to just sort of put that in the back of my mind and just say, okay, look, move forward from here, just learn from it. You know, in reality, I probably should have been a bit better suited for the race, but I mean, we've had great battles all year, and you know, it was just that one race where we just so happened to come together. So I mean, hey, I'm not holding any grudges. It's just pointless to just put you in the wrong mindset. In the end, I just have trust that he's going to, play fairly. And I mean, I can't really say too much about clean etiquette because, of course, I escorted Jordan off the track in Hockenheim. But I mean, hey, in the end, I just want clean racing. I want there to be a good, clean result, and I think that goes for everyone in this championship.
Yeah, we're just watching a couple of those highlights from your season so far. Some pretty solid results all around. That Silverstone Grand Prix win, obviously a highlight. But I want to draw you back a little bit, just a few races. That Hockenheim Grand Prix win, it was pretty tough for us. Obviously, we had the straight and narrow sort of view from the front straight, and it looked like you had the lead going into that final corner. I know you said you sort of carted Jordan off wide a little bit, and that allowed, I suppose, Scott to pick up a little bit at the end. Do you have any sort of regrets there slowing down for Scott on the front straight, or do you think you should have just kept your foot in it?
Well, I wasn't slowing down for Scott, I was slowing down for Jordan, and years of sim racing does that to me. The automatic reaction really is to, like, even if you feel as though you're on the right, if you feel as though you escorted someone off the track, you let him back past. Until after, I wasn't quite sure how far alongside I was of Jordan. It turns out I was relatively far enough up the inside, but still, it didn't feel right winning the race from that, so I was going to let him pass, and by the time I realised Scott McQueen was going past me, it was too late. And, in the end, that is done. Same as what Barcelona is. I can't really do too much about that from now, apart from the results going forward. So, yeah, I can cry and whinge about it all I like. I've done that already. So it's all about just moving forward from now on and just attaining the best results going forward from here on in.
Well said, mate. Well said. Okay, well, last week we had some quick-fire questions with Scott McQueen, and we're going to do some with you as well. So whatever comes to your mind first, you've got to think fast. No stalling here. Yep. You've got to answer. So here we go. Dirtiest racer, hero in motorsport?
Dirtiest racer, hero in motorsport? Shane Van Gisbergen.
Oh, dude.
Shane, if you're watching, I'm sorry.
If you're invisible, where would you go?
Oblivion.
What track would you race on and why?
Bathurst, because, hey, why not?
Code of motorsport? What's your favourite code of motorsport?
Drifting.
Oh, yeah, I like you. Shosh, your angry face. No, that's your happy face, angry face. I'm stalling you out here, eh? Favourite driver you would race?
Favourite driver of race?
Shane Van Gisbergen?
If I could race him from the dead, Ayrton Senna.
Oh, well answered. Favourite hobby, mate?
Favourite hobby? I don't know, sim racing.
What makes you happy then?
Sim racing.
Sim racing, okay. And a penguin walks through the door right now wearing a sombrero. What would he say to you?
If who walks through the door?
A penguin.
Penguin walks through the door with a sombrero.
Yeah, mate.
I can't say those words on TV.
Okay, all right. Hey, Josh, look, those are some weird questions our producers have given us, but hey, you've had an amazing race. Simon, is there anything else you want to ask Josh?
Actually, yeah, I got one more question for you, Josh. We had a wee chat, obviously, before tonight. Those points have really sort of come down quite a bit, as we said.
Yeah.
$5,000 on the line, potentially, if you win this.
Thanks for reminding me, mate.
Yeah, what are you going to spend it on, man?
What am I going to spend it on? Yep. Confidential, mate. Come on.
Oh, come on.
No, in November, I am going over to Japan. It's been something I've been looking forward to for the past 3 years. I will already be going over there, but there are a few things over there that I'd like to be able to explore, which the money would go very nicely toward. I know. I was trying to take the focus off money tonight. Now that they put my focus on money, I'm just going to drive like rubbish tonight, mate. Cheers, mate.
Sorry, bro.
All right, Josh, it's always fantastic to have you on board. One of my favorite races, actually. But before we go, we're actually asking some of the viewers a question at home, so I thought I'd ask you too.
All right.
What is your ideal road trip song?
Ideal road trip song?
Right now.
I don't know, Big Yellow Taxi by the Counting Crows. I don't know.
All right. You know what? I'll take it. I'll take it. So, all right. Well, hopefully you're playing that in your head tonight. Good luck for the race. And, don't think too much about the money.
Well, you're the one who brought it up.
I didn't bring it up. Don't worry about it. All right. Good luck tonight, Josh. And it's been fantastic having you. All right, guys, now that we're back into the swing of things here, Josh is, I really enjoy having him on the show. We don't interview that guy enough. I mean, we probably interviewed him the most out of any racer, but I always want to have him back. That guy is just a blast to have.
Well, you see it in motorsport. It's quite hard to talk to a camera, and a lot of our drivers within D1NZ and normal motorsport, you try to get them to say something to the camera, and they say, "Yeah, bro, awesome." But Josh, completely the opposite. Excuse me. He's one of those guys that reacts with the camera, and he actually talks really well. So it's great to see him. It's great to have him in the sport, and no way we're obviously hopefully going to see him in real motorsport very soon as well.
All right, well, we'll see where he is going to be racing tonight as we go around the world once more. And this time, we're going to go to the Central European region. And Simon, tell us all about these tracks.
Yep, so we're going to go to Belgium and the Czech Republic. First off, I believe we're going to go to Spa-Francorchamps, a legendary circuit. It's the shorter Grand Prix circuit that we're on now. We're no longer on that really long old Grand Prix circuit in the 1960s. And then we go to Brno, a circuit that's probably not known too well to our fans at home, but it'll be interesting to see what it's like for these drivers.
It did take me a few times to work out how to pronounce both of these tracks properly, but I think I've nailed it in the end.
How's it go?
Brno.
And the other one?
Francorchamps.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, no, I actually took French in high school, so I can at least pretend to pronounce it. So that is where we're going to be racing tonight, ladies and gentlemen. But importantly, we've also got to see what they're going to be racing in. So let's take a look once more in the beautiful Samsung Blue, the Ginetta G55 GT4.
Gorgeous looking car, 350 horsepower, weighing just over a ton. It's a quick beast, this car, and it's going to be really well utilized tonight at these two circuits, topping out at just under 270 kilometers. It gets from 0 to 100 in 4.3 seconds. It's got a lot of downforce on the front wing and the rear wing and under the body. It's a car that's going to have to be quick to go around these circuits. Brno, in particular, with its long sweeping fast corners, I think they'll be looking to use that downforce a lot.
All right, well, there you have it, what the racers are going to be racing in tonight. But everyone, before we go to a short break, just a little reminder that we do have our competition going on. If you want to earn yourself a copy of the game, jump onto Twitter, answer our question with the hashtag ProjectCars2NZ, and tell us what your favorite road trip song is, because I know I'm going to be going back and taking a look at all of these, and I'm going to be making my own playlist out of all of this. And so next road trip, I really hope it's a good one, unless you guys are suggesting some really out there songs. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be getting into the race not too far away, but we're going to go to a short break first. So make sure you stick through that one, and we'll be back with all of the motorsport action.
Like us, you're passionate about cars. At Star Insurance Specialist, we create custom policies for Kiwis with exceptional vehicles. If you own a vintage, classic, performance, project or prestige car, your needs don't fit neatly into a box. We think special and unique cars deserve special and unique insurance. We don't let robots determine policy or price. Get on the road with a custom policy from Star Insurance Specialists. Go to starinsure.co.nz today.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Star Insurance Specialist Project Cars 2 New Zealand Championship. You're with Matt, Simon, and Brendan once more for the second last leg of the race. The penultimate one may call it, maybe even a racer may call it that. But guys, let's bit of an in-joke. Sorry, guys. Let's not cut any corners here. Let's just get straight into it. Let's talk about the track that we're going to first, the Spa-Francorchamps. We've got a beautiful little graphic that we can show you soon, but I believe there's also some conditions to talk about too. I mean, we've got to talk about the weather, and look at that. It's absolutely beautiful.
Gorgeous circuit, this one. Spa-Francorchamps, the host of the Belgian Grand Prix. We're currently looking at quite a low track temperature, just 10 degrees Fahrenheit, which I believe is it's pretty cold in centigrade as well. But yeah, it's no wind. It's just a clear sky. It's a fast circuit though, and this is what these guys have got to be sort of careful about too, is because the circuit has got lots of long sort of straights involved and quite fast high-speed corners, so they're going to really have to utilize the draft and utilize the downforce on their cars too. And yeah, I think the circuit's going to be good for passing.
Oh, good for passing. That's the best one, right? I mean, especially, I believe you mentioned draft, slipstream as well. So we got a lot of good stuff from that about 2 weeks ago. I'm hoping to see it again tonight. We're going to be getting into qualifying very, very shortly, guys, where the racers will be doing their best laps in a few minutes just to see how that grid order is going to look. And, you know, quite often we get the same guys at the front, but occasionally someone sneaks ahead.
Yeah, so what we see there is Josh Ritchie on the left-hand side of your screen now. Josh Ritchie, Jordan Pine, and Scott McQueen are all in the same room. Louis de Manila is the third person along with glasses. So in that room alone is your championship leaders. So that's kind of the winner's room, so to speak, here live in the Sky Tower. So we are broadcasting right now live out of the Sky Tower in Auckland City. An amazing studio here at LPL. So in the next room, we've got Ethan Moore there and Mr. Robinson. And further down the line, you can't actually see Jake Parker and Robert Northway, a bit dark in there, but concentration is key here. Now, Simon, Spa, this is an amazing track. It's got a lot of history. I was looking at Spa crashes last night, and oh my God, the crashes in that track alone are amazing. But that coming through the creek, now you made me refer to this because the French would get very angry at me referring to the wrong corners here. But that goes dip through the creek, and we're going to have a look at this corner. It's one of the most, I guess, symbolic corners in motor racing in the Northern Hemisphere.
Yeah, definitely. So we're sort of in the last sector of this circuit at the moment, and we'll get to it shortly. But basically, you head into turn one, which is La Source. It's a very tight right-handed hairpin. Talking to some of the drivers a little bit earlier on, they were saying that you're going to have to be pretty brave on the start if you want to get a pass down the inside, because it tightens massively. So when they get to La Source at turn one, it's going to be interesting to see how they managed to get through there unscathed. We saw in 2012, I think it was Romain Grosjean, the local driver, I suppose, in some ways, being French. This is actually in Belgium, but he basically just took out about 3 or 4 cars off the start.
Oh,
and you can do that quite easily on a circuit like this because, as we'll see in a moment, it's super tight. So currently, we're following behind Jordan Penny. This is the front straight. This is the starting grid where these guys will be starting off the race, which I believe is going to run for about 8 or 9 laps. Then we head into turn one. This is La Source. It's obviously quite wide on entry, but it narrows massively. You dip down, you get a bit of camber, and then you have to get a really fast exit out of here. Don't run too wide over that rumble strip, as we see Louis de Manila do just then. And then you're going to head down the hill into what you were referring to earlier as Eau Rouge. So this is turn two.
Pinned, isn't it? These are pinned
100%. So here we go, into Eau Rouge and up Radion. And it's super fast. As you can see, these guys, they can't even see the road up here. They only see the trees in the sky. And then you obviously head down the Kimmel Straight, which is another good passing opportunity. The passing opportunity realistically starts at turn one.
Correct.
So you basically, what you need to do is get a good entry and exit through turn one, get the draft in behind who is ahead of you, into Eau Rouge, follow them up Radion, and then that's when you can start passing when you get onto the Kimmel Straight, and you can look to get right under their rear wing and hopefully send your car down the inside at turn 5.
Now, there's a lot of elevation changes in this track as well. You're noticing now they're on the downhill part of the circuit coming to the back section of the track. I guess, how does that, in real motorsport, you're coming off the front straight, for example, and you hit that point where you go straight up. Now, the G's, what are you talking here as far as G's and compression into, say, pushing you into the seat in a normal race car?
Oh, 100%. Like, even places like Hampton Pounds, there are some places on that part of the circuit where, you know, you dip down, you really feel yourself sort of get squashed into the seat a little bit. you can imagine Formula One cars going through Radion and Eau Rouge and at close to 300 kilometres essentially getting just squashed into
Which
your
is
seat.
what they're going through that little, there's actually a little creek that runs over why they cross over that bottom part of the track before they go up the hill.
Yeah.
Formula One hit that full pin, right?
Yeah, 100%. Well, Eau Rouge, it actually translates to Red River or
Right.
Red Water. So there's some photos around there if you want to look it up. It really is a red river in some ways.
Yep. I recommend definitely looking at the crashes of that. There's a lot of O moments in YouTube as far as Spa goes. So while you're sitting at home and viewing YouTube, Spa crashes, it's that corner there is freaking amazing. So we're on board with Jordan Penny at the moment. We're going to see who banks the fastest scores. They're coming around for their first, I guess, banked qualifying, and it's all about how crucial is qualifying in this race going to be. As far as it's very crucial at this late in the game, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And this is a circuit which is, I don't know whether you'd say it's qualifying dependent. As we see Penny shoot to the top of the timetables first up, actually 6 tenths ahead. That's pretty good for your first market. But yeah, it's a circuit that kind of does rely on qualifying, but it also is a circuit where if you're brave enough and you put yourself in the right position, you can sort of get away with it. If you start sort of in that first or second row, you should be good. It's happy days basically from there. But anywhere beyond that, you're probably going to be fighting a little bit because those guys will be drafting up ahead. And then if you get sort of, I don't know, languishing down in P5 or P6, you're going to be fighting to get back up the grid.
All right, well, just to touch on some of our top races, now that they've got some laps banked, Richie actually sitting down in 5th place. Now, we've seen him qualify at this position before and still come out pretty well in the race, but he's obviously going to be wanting a better result than that. The big one, though, is that Northway banked in at a 2:37 in 8th place right now, so he's going to have to work on that one. This guy's a record holder.
He's not going to get another great score, too, because we just passed him over in the grass on this lap as well, so that lap that he's just doing as we speak at this point in time is also not going to be banked. So roughly they're getting, 4 to 5 laps of bankable scores during qualifying, around that mark before we go live to the race. Which is really going to see. We talk about qualifying and we talk about where they sit. Is that Pine going wide at the moment? One thing we're going to see is the guys we've been doing the Hampton Downs go-kart racing recently, and we're actually going to take all these guys down to the track tomorrow at Hampton Downs. We're going to chuck them in the go-karts qualifying, and then they're going to get their first taste at actually racing side by side, which is going to be cool to see, because it's a totally new experience to actually go with 8 races side by side on the track. It's I guess their nerves are really going to be stepping up a notch.
Would you keep your money still on Jordan Penny for that one? So current leaderboard.
That's a real good question. I would put some money on Manil just because he's had those chances. But no, I'm gonna stick with Scott McQueen.
Oh, it's interesting you say that because Louis is a driver who is a self-confessed drive by the city of pants sort of guy.
Mm-hmm.
He likes to feel the car underneath him. You talk to a lot of guys, and obviously myself doing the rounds at a lot of circuits. I've spoken to some guys and they say, "Oh, I love sim racing. It's basically the one way that they can actually get some seat time while the racing's not on." But then there are others who will say, I hate sim racing because I can't feel the car. You can't feel the car moving around the same way that you would your real race car. So for someone like Louis, he could turn up to Hampton Downs tomorrow and just cream them because he's really good in real life. That's how we've managed to get into the GT Academy.
Yeah, for sure. I guess if you chuck Louis in a race car around Hampton Downs in one of their race car experiences, he'd bank better scores than all of them. But I guess on a go-kart it's a bit different. It's not a race car, and some of these guys will be definitely pushing the limits. And you've seen the likes of Robinson, he's a drifter. You've seen the likes of Scott McQueen, he's a drifter. So they've got their own race cars or own drift cars at home, so they know how to push the limits. So they'll definitely interested there. Scott McQueen on board with him at the moment, is currently sitting in 3rd position for qualifying. They know how to push the limits of that. So hey, big thanks to Hampton Downs for supporting us through the Project Cars 2 New Zealand Championship. So we'll be down there tomorrow, and if you guys want to get down, you can actually see if you can beat these guys' scores that sit on the leaderboard, and they're actually going to get their own champagne shower, our directors tell us. So they're going to be able to stand on the podium and pop champagne and throw it over each other, because they can't really do that in the studio here. Next week maybe.
Well, I mean, okay, look, Josh Ritchie tried.
He did a shoey last week.
He did a shoey. I mean, it had
water shoey.
Yeah, it had water in it, but I mean, you're still drinking out of a shoe, so it's still pretty hardcore in my eyes. I mean, as far as making the drink as disgusting as you can.
Well, everyone sort of talks about this shoe and they're like, it's a bogan motorsport Australian thing, but you've seen Formula One drivers do it now. It's just It's just a part of motorsport. It's a weird part of motorsport, and if you're wondering what we're talking about, basically, if you win a race, or sometimes even people come second or third, they'll actually take their race boot off and they'll pour the champagne or the beer in it, and then they'll drink from it out on the podium, and everyone loves it.
It's actually, it's becoming also like an Australian and New Zealand eSports tradition now as well. Anytime there's an event down here, people are starting to do it too. So, I mean, look, it's transcending motorsports is all I'm saying.
Like I said earlier, it's really cool to see the amalgamation of eSIM racing and how many people are into it. You know, you've got multiple speedway people in it, you've got multiple drifters in it, you've got multiple supercar drivers doing this, and they're all got their own sim setups, and they're all race car drivers, and it's just crossing over. It's so cool to see that real motorsport is getting involved with sim racing. So if you guys want to get involved with it, it's quite easy. Get on speednation.co.nz and you can check out all the different sims and things like that if you want to actually get your own setup.
All right, guys, something else I want to remind you about is something else that Let's Play Live is doing called the Night Squad. And if you're a fan of Fortnite and, well, pretty much any celebrity in New Zealand as well, make sure you check it out, because we've also got a bit of a promotion going on as well. As you can see on the screen, Night Squad 666. Put that code into your online delivery and you will not be charged for that delivery. So, look, I mean, if you're sitting at home right now, put in that code, get some Hell's Pizza.
Yeah,
I mean, look, get on your phone. I'm serious.
All right.
Do it.
Sorry.
But wait. Do you guys have pineapple on your pizza?
No.
No, okay,
It's
we can't be friends anymore. Come on. Pineapple's all good.
So if people want to check out previous episodes of this or last week's Night Squad with the AVs, where do they go?
Just head along to a YouTube page, Let's Play Live. You can find it there, along with any highlights as well. I'm sure many of you have actually seen a lot of Project Cars 2 highlights that we've got, because the last few weeks have been spicy and lit as hell. Lit as hell.
That's a new one for you, Matty. It's good.
Did you like it?
You're sending it. That's good. Now, one thing we just saw who sent it was Parker. Parker has just set the fastest time, a 2:28. That's a lot faster there than Jordan Penne, which is good to see. Now, he was a dark horse last week. He came out and he got a third. And, you know, I guess he's putting in the practice now. I had a bit of a chat to the Robert Northway now on there, as you can see him. He's got a lot of world laps, this guy. He's from Christchurch. He flies up every week, and he's the one, he was meant to be, well, he still is potentially the dark horse in this championship, but he's just not been able to put it together. I don't know why there is some sort of possum sitting next to his right-hand shoulder. Hedgehog, sorry. Maybe that's a symbol for his partner. I think it's Yasmin at home.
I think his niece or someone gave it to him as a bit of a good luck charm for this weekend.
Oh, isn't that cute? He even did his hair. He's all slicked up tonight. So Parker, good to see him out in third position for this first race.
So there's about 2 minutes and 40 seconds remaining. Currently, Jake Parker sits atop the time order. The first time we've seen him up the front, leading by 2/10 over Scott McQueen. Jordan Penne rounds out the top three at the moment, and Josh Ritchie just knocking on the podium there in P4. Good to see Ethan Moore in P5 at the moment. He's sort of, I suppose that's his average position at the moment. Michael Robinson in P6 and Louis DeManilla in P7. But yeah, we speak about Robert Northway. He's a guy who has pace. I actually spoke to him a little bit earlier today, and he said, you know, he's done plenty of racing. This guy's done 24-hour races with him and just one other guy. So you're doing, you know, thousands and thousands of laps essentially over an entire season. He's done a 24-hour race here at Spa. So if there's anyone who should be quick around here, it's probably Northway, right?
Right, yeah. So not only can you do it on the Sims, you can, they've got a 24-hour race here during the year, correct? So in real motor racing, for those at home.
Yeah, so there's what they have, the Total 24-hour race, which is run by the Blancpain Endurance Series, so just GT3 cars. Right. There's the FIA World Endurance Championship 6 hours of Spa, which is for LMP1 cars, LMP2 cars, and GTE and other sort of GT cars. As we see Robert Northway, he's going to come across the line, hopefully record a better time as Delta goes green. So yeah, he manages to get up into P6. A lot of the other guys have pitted, so maybe they feel like they can't get another lap in. Robert Northway still out on track, looking fairly relaxed. Is he going to box this lap? Maybe not, but yeah, interesting to note that a lot of the other guys just decide to bank a lap and go on in. But yeah, so Robert Northway, he's done some endurance racing before in his career, with sim racing before in Gran Turismo and iRacing as well. So it looks like we're all done and dusted here for qualifying at Spa-Francorchamps. We'll get that leaderboard up in a moment. So looks like Jake Parker takes his first pole position.
Yeah, look, Jake Parker making it up there. I mean, I'm super proud of the guy. He hasn't shown up in a lot of the leaderboards so far, but I mean, third place last week, and now he's up in P1 for the fourth last race of the entire championship. So let's take a look at the results as well and see exactly how the grid's going to look. And as you can see, Jake Parker right at the top, but looking pretty standard after that.
Yeah, Scott McQueen, Jordan Penne, Josh Ritchie, your championship leaders, and they're the ones that put in the work. We talked to them earlier on in this show, and we'll touch on how much work they put in, but even more, Robert Northway, Michael Robertson, and Louis DeMinilla. No surprises down the bottom there except for Robert Northway, but those championship points, Scott McQueen, Penne, and Ritchie, you know, they're going to have to get past Parker in this in these first laps. It's going to be interesting to see if Parker holds his own, and if he actually leads out this race and holds that lead, or whether he's actually going to be able to and fend off these guys, or whether these guys have to battle through him.
There's still maybe a couple of minutes left in that session, so it looks like we've got the qualifying session over, so they've called it at the end of that. So all the guys have come into the pit lane, and those are your times. So yeah, fascinating to see Jake up the front there. I think that's a bit of a shock in some ways. Is he going to be the spanner in the works that's going to maybe throw this championship battle into maybe a bit of disarray?
Well, I mean, we saw how close it was between second and third. I mean, that's probably the easiest place to put a spanner in the works. So if he just goes ahead of either Ritchie or McQueen, then he could seriously mess up their prize winnings for the rest of the championship. So we're moments away from getting into the race, ladies and gentlemen, and it's all going to be about Parker. Will Parker be able to hold on to that P1 position, particularly through the first turn? And I want to ask you about that, Simon, as well, is how important is this one going to be? Are we going to see a big old crash on that first one?
I won't be surprised if we do see maybe a bit of bumping and grinding going on at turn one. It's super tight. It's a hairpin. You know, it's not really a corner that you want to be starting the race off when you've got 8 of these guys who are the best in the country all piling in to the first corner. It's going to be tricky, I suppose. It's super tight, but you know, if you take that shallow line, you're going to understeer, and potentially someone who comes and takes a wider line and cuts back in could maybe hit you. So I suppose we could see a bit of drama. I hope these guys are good enough and can get through the first corner relatively cleanly and safely. But yeah, I guess time will tell.
He's like, it's wedged in between his seat. That's really cool. There's a little hole in the racing seats that he's put it through. So no matter what, his little, what was it, a hedgehog? Or
looks like a hedgehog.
There? Yeah. The hedgehog is going to have a good old view. But ladies and gentlemen, let's get into our first race on Spa-Francorchamps.
So here we go. We're currently looking at Josh Ritchie. He's going to put the headphones on and get ready to go racing here. They're gearing up with their Thrustmaster T300s, and we'll be racing in no time here at Spa-Francorchamps, the home of the Belgian Grand Prix. Looks like Jake Parker gets a good start. He's going to take the whole shot into turn one. Can Scott McQueen sweep around the outside and take the lead? It looks like Parker's going to cover it off. He takes that shallow line. Looks like they managed to get through the first corner relatively cleanly. Louis DeMinilla goes really wide, drops back to last in the order as he goes wide out of turn one. Jake Parker currently leading. It's going to be close between Penne and McQueen. They're going to go too wide into Eau Rouge. Penne drops it back in behind. A sensible move from our championship leader. Goes over those rumble strips and looks like there's contact up ahead. Parker and McQueen, that slows them both down. And Penne, he's going to get the run on him. Is he going to get the pass into turn 5? Let's watch them as they head down the Kimmel Straight side by side. Penne getting the bump draft from behind Josh Ritchie. They're going to go 3 wide down the end of the straight here. Who's going to take the advantage? It looks like McQueen maybe. Oh, Penne gets shoved out wide by Ritchie. These guys are just jumping and dicing for the top positions. Ritchie somehow managed to get back into P3. And sorry, it was actually Robert Northway who was bumping into Penne. And in the space of a few corners, Jordan Penne has dropped down to P5.
Parker's still sitting in that P1 position. This is the question we were asking him. Can he hold it? And so far, it looks like yes, but there's a long race to go.
It's interesting to note that Ritchie has managed to get up into P2. That's crucial in terms of his championship fight. Penne currently down in P5. That will not be doing him any favors if he wants to win this title. So Northway gets a nice little move there on McQueen down at Puon. Interesting to note, though, that Parker has just dropped back into the clutches of Josh Ritchie. Ritchie showing the nose early on. You see Robert Northway get a little bit loose there into the S's. Ritchie really making a strong push here to get past Parker. Parker hasn't been in this position before all season. Currently leading the race here, lap 1 at Spa-Francorchamps.
Now, guys, what you've got to remember as well is tyres and tyre wear and tyre heat are on. So these tyres are cold in present. So what you've seen, the cars in the rear are a bit loose. You saw Robert Northway, they're a bit loose. So we're on board right now with Josh Ritchie as he fights Parker in first and second position. Right behind him is Robert Northway. Now, Robert Northway had those spins. He seems to always crack under the pressure as Ritchie now has a look on the outside. He's going to try to go down on the inside as they come through the chicane. Has a look. Josh Ritchie hard on the brakes. And he will get it. He'll close the door.
Oh, no, Northway. Northway's lost it.
I said it to him. I said he always has that problem where he just, I'm not going to say chokes, but just chucks it away. And he's going to go outside wide. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to see that. We may see it at the end or in the highlights, but that puts Northway now back into sixth position. Ritchie picks up first position, McQueen. So really unfortunate for Parker there, looks like he's got taken out in that too. So now we're going to see this tapped out front straight into this first corner. The G's that come up as they come over the, how do you pronounce this, Simon?
Eau Rouge and into Radion. If I am Jake Parker, I think I'm probably going to be asking for blood after that. What happened? It looked like maybe Northway just locked up his rear tyres and just lost it into the bus stop chicane there. That's just a horrendous mistake there by Robert Northway. Now he's finding himself down in P6.
Look, you can guarantee that we're going to have race officials looking back at the replays for this to see exactly what happened. But for now, we're going to focus on the race at hand and see who can get into that P1 position.
It looks like McQueen, he's got the pass completed on Ritchie. He got the straight run down the Kimmel straight and managed to get a draft and get around the outside of Ritchie there. So Ritchie has dropped back into P2 now. And look at this. It's the champions leading out in front, sort of reverse order, I suppose, with Penny down in P3, Ritchie in P2, and McQueen currently leading this race. Jake Parker looking on, hopefully going to make his way up the order down in P4 at the moment. He'll be absolutely spewing after getting taken out.
Well, still very consistent though to be sitting in fourth position. Now it's kind of flip, as you said, reverse order. Last week it was all about Josh Ritchie defending his position over McQueen. Now the pressure is on McQueen to not make any mistakes and lead this race. We're only in lap 2 of 8, so some really interesting racing coming out there. We can't say that it was Robert Northway's fault either. We don't know what happened behind him. It could have been someone coming up like Louis de Manila, or also Michael Robinson just coming into that chicane way too fast. Now, important to note on these chicanes is you can't actually cut them like a lot of the other races because you've got tyre barriers the whole way across. So, there's no cutting in here, but however, you could see a protest coming later on in the race, and we'll keep our ears to the officials' comms to see if anything comes through that. But as we see, Penne now gets a nice, slick, clean pass here on Josh Ritchie. Josh Ritchie will not be happy about that.
Well, actually, interesting that you say that, because it looks like Josh was maybe giving him the signal to go past. Maybe a few tactics going on here for Josh Ritchie, knowing that Penne is quicker than him at the moment. He said, look, mate, just go on by. Maybe just set about hunting after McQueen currently in the lead. So maybe Josh Ritchie just didn't feel like he could challenge for the lead there and allowed Penne to get past. Oh, and it looks like McQueen got super loose through turn 1. Let's see what happens if they come out of the corner. No, so McQueen just managed to get through there, and now Penne has gotten up right on the rear bumper of McQueen for the lead now. So Josh Ritchie jumps back. Maybe we'll get a replay of that. It looked like McQueen got really loose into turn 1, and maybe Ritchie got a hit from behind from Parker as well. So here we go, down the Kimmel straight now. This is the perfect passing opportunity for Penne. If he wants to get past McQueen, he's going to go around the outside. This is super tricky though. He'll have to get the pass complete before the corner if he wants to get it done. So here we go, he's just ahead of McQueen. Who's better under brakes though? Penne, definitely.
Well done, Penne. Now, I had a chat earlier on with Jordan Penne, and he said to me, look, last week there was mistakes. He's going to forget about it. With coming out with those tyres and banking no score in the second race, he was absolutely livid about that. But he just put it aside, and now he said, look, I've practiced a lot. And he's normally practicing 2 to 3 hours a night. And he said, put it aside, I'll practice more. So this guy's been practicing at least 3 to 4 hours a night. He wants this championship. He's got a lot of support at home. Hello to all of Jordan Penne's family watching from all over the country, because we know you are. So he's at practice. Now these guys in the first, second and third position, Josh Ritchie says he doesn't practice, but we know, he's let slip some of the hours. He practices as well. So they put in the seat time and they're getting the reward. So You know, I think Jordan Pena, if he can maintain this gap, even though he's got huge pressure here from Scott McQueen, he's going to be the one to watch out for.
I just want to put it into perspective for everyone at home as well. There are 2 points between McQueen and Richie in the total championship leaderboard. So this finish is important because there is a 3-point difference between finishing second and third in a race.
So here we go. We're heading down to the final sector of the circuit at Spa-Francorchamps. This is another good passing opportunity for someone like McQueen, who's going to get up alongside Penny. Penny pulls over to the left-hand side. That gives McQueen a good run around the outside, but Penny, oh, bit of contact there. Maybe just sending McQueen a little bit wide, but can he send it down the inside at the chicane? He gets side by side with him. Can Penny hold on around the outside? That'll give them the inside for the next part of the chicane. Oh, they make a little bit of contact, and that gives Richie the whole shot to get right past Penny. So a mistake there perhaps by Penny. Bit of contact there with leader McQueen, and now he's had to drop back into P3.
What I'm noticing here is a bit more rubbings racing going on in this race between McQueen and Pena. You know, the clubs, that's the last sort of leg of the championship, the penultimate round. So they're not scared to have a bit of touchy-touchy.
Yeah, well, you know, it's $5,000 on the line, man. $5,000 to win this, $3,000 to come second, and $2,000 to come third. $1,000, that's a couple of driving experiences for Josh Ritchie in Japan, depending on how he finishes in this race. But here we go, down the Kimmel Straight. We said earlier in this race, this is going to be the hot spot for passing, and it looks like they're going to go three wide now, down to the final straight here, and it looks like Penne somehow from third has managed to get past both of them and back into the lead. This is an absolute dogfight for the final positions on the podium here. Looks like McQueen side by side with Richie. Who's going to hold on to it? Richie just as they head down.
They've got to be very careful here not to get too much into a tussle, because that will give Penne that lead. And when Penne gets a lead, there's no catching him. Now, we talked about slipstream and drafting. Was that basically what Penne just did?
Yeah, so basically what happens is when there's two cars, the car in the lead punches a hole in the air, and essentially the car following behind has less air resistance going over the top of it, so it can follow closer, but that obviously means that you take the air off the car and reduces the downforce. But that's sort of what you want when you're heading down a straight, and that was utilised massively by Penne there, with two cars in front of him punching a huge hole in the air, and that just allowed him to slingshot, as it looks like McQueen gets super loose there through the tight right-hander. Now it looks like Jack Parker has managed to make some traction and get back onto the rear of these top three guys, but Penne, he's legged it on them. He's a second out in front. Richie's going to have to do a lot now to catch up to Penne to get the win.
And you've got to feel for Parker as well. Sitting back in P4 after what happened at the start of the race, he's still working hard to get back up there, but that gap just seems to be getting bigger and bigger from where he was sitting before.
If you have that fight between Richie and McQueen at the moment, it's the same fight we saw last week. These guys have got a real awesome rivalry going on. Are they going to keep it clean as they go for a little look down the right-hand side? Scott McQueen under the brakes, but Richie goes wide. Scott McQueen locks it up. Richie's out wide, and Parker now gets a little look. McQueen manages to tidy it back up, and he's going to get close up on there on Penne. Now Josh Ritchie and Parker. Parker, is he going to be able to do it on the inside of the last corner as Josh Ritchie is out on the left? It's all about Parker right now. He had the fastest time in qualifying under the brakes, puts it down. Will he close the door? And now Scott McQueen gets a bit wild on the outside. Parker now picks up third position.
So he's back onto that podium position, but he's got Richie right behind him as they head down to Eau Rouge now. Just go single file through here, Josh. You only need to get through this section, and then you can get that slipstream down the Kimmel Straight. We'll hopefully go trackside in a moment now as we watch Josh Ritchie pulling out a little bit early, perhaps not quite getting the draft straight away. But he's actually going to get a little bit of draft from McQueen up ahead, who's also punching a hole in the air in front of him. Doesn't look like Richie has quite got the run on Parker heading into this section of the circuit. So he's just going to have to maintain position, and hopefully those margins between first, second and third just narrow up as we head to the halfway point in this circuit.
Jake Parker out on screen right now. Man that we haven't really seen much of. He was an online qualifier. He came with his brother, and he was an online qualifier now?
Yeah, no, he was at the live qualifying, and he got something like 5th or 6th, so was certainly not a favorite coming into this, so it is quite a surprise to see him doing so well today. But I just want to say, where has he been all this time? This is an amazing performance out of someone that's usually quite lower down the leaderboard, where you see races like Manila and Robinson.
Yeah, so you've got Robert Northway is actually taking a bit of a look right behind Richie there. So there's not a huge gap between these guys. When you can still see Penny in your screen, and you can see McQueen and then Parker, Richie, Northway. So slight little mistake, and we could have a really good battle as we're only 5th lap. We've got 3 laps to go.
Yeah, this is a crucial moment in the race now. These guys who are battling for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and even 5th now, as Northway tags onto the back of Richie's car, they need to catch Jordan Penny first. There can be a few tactics that go on here that sort of say, all right, fastest guy out in front, hunts down Penny, has to catch him, has to slow him down. You know, you don't necessarily have to do dirty tactics to slow a guy down. You just have to be that fraction quicker than him, and maybe just in some parts of the circuit slow down a little bit more.
Well, in that case, let Parker through, because he's the one who set the fastest times, you know, and he's catching on Scott McQueen right now. And you're right, what we want to see is if Pene gets this win, that's really going to push him forward in this championship. So as we see now, they do close it up on the last back straight here. So it is getting ever so closer. You look at the times on the left-hand side of the screen and the split difference.
Look at that, McQueen, 3 tenths quicker on that lap alone. Looks like his lines are working to great effect here. Penny is currently only 6 tenths ahead as he goes defensive, actually trying to break the toe of McQueen in behind. Parker doing a really good job here in P3, just keeping a watchful eye on these two ahead. Can McQueen get within, I guess, touching distance of Penny to get that draft as they head down the Kimmel Straight? That margin now down to 5 tenths of a second. Maybe Penny, after he got past those guys, has just cooked his tyres a little bit, and now that margin is coming right down as we see McQueen. He's bringing it down and down and down. It's down just to 3 tenths now, 2 tenths. Has he got the run on him down at the end of the Kimmel Straight to go around the outside? In fact, doesn't look like it this time by, but with 2 or 3 laps to go, I think we're in for an absolute barn burner here at Spa-Francorchamps. Here we go, Jake Parker just sitting in behind McQueen at the moment. Penny, he's definitely lost a lot of time to McQueen, Parker, Richie, and Northway. Just 2 seconds covering the top 5 at this point in the race. This is fantastic racing now, and I think we're getting ready for a grandstand finish. Oh no!
McQueen, he keeps it up. He drifts through the corner.
Commentator's curse.
Parker picks it up, so that's going to scrub his speed. And then you see Josh Ritchie, and right behind him will be Robert Northway. Scott McQueen.
Rookie
He's a
mistake.
drifter from Tauranga. He put his foot up, but at least he didn't lose it. So he's still there. Now look at this for a race.
Parker getting now a little bit wide out of one of those corners now. It looks like Penny has managed to eke that margin out to 1.3 seconds now. So this is not what they wanted with only a handful of laps remaining. Parker getting super loose like socks on a hardwood floor. This is fantastic racing at the moment. Can Penny hold on for the lead now? These guys have got to be super tactical at the moment not to let Penny get away. Richie currently in P2 at the moment. Can he be the one to catch Penny now with only maybe 2 laps remaining?
2 laps, and this is also, don't forget, Jordan had his elements. He's won so many races where he just hasn't had to deal with traffic. He's just been so far ahead, no one can catch him.
Fantastic.
Look at this.
It looks like Northway's managed to get around McQueen now, so McQueen in the space of a lap has dropped from P2 down to P5 now, and Penny has just absolutely gapped this gaggle of guys down in P2 and P5. So Penny, after 1 lap, he was 3 tenths ahead of McQueen, and now he's 2.5 seconds out in front. There's just 2 laps remaining here at Spa-Francorchamps. These guys have got to be more sensible. Stop fighting. Just catch up to Penny and then start the fight.
I guess the thing, what they're looking at is they're looking at 2nd and 3rd. They know 2nd and 3rd is there. They're probably looking out Penny's too close. So the real battle is between Northway, Parker, and Richie right
Northway's
here. And
P2
McQueen
now.
Down the back there. Northway P2. He's just got to keep it together. It would be great to see Northway on a 1st, 2nd, or 3rd stop. First, probably not there. McQueen now out wide. This is where it's going to be the drafting. Who's going to get it? Is McQueen going to sit behind these guys in the right position and get this draft? Whoa, no, they all go wide here. They all go 3 wide into the corner. Josh Ritchie on the outside, Robert Northway on the inside. He's going to be on the brakes. A bit of a bump there from McQueen into Josh Ritchie. Josh Ritchie won't be impressed about that because it has put him down to 5th position. Parker getting wild now. Robert Northway now bumps back McQueen. He says, no, not good.
This is
the rivalry.
You know, for someone like me who's watched a lot of racing, this is kind of painful to watch now because Penny is just legging it on these guys as we see Richie getting back up the inside of McQueen. This is where McQueen made the mistake last time by. He goes shallow. McQueen shoves it. Richie shoves it up his backside that time on McQueen. Really bad racing, to be fair. These guys are just letting Penny get away from them now. And all of 2 laps ago, McQueen and Ritchie were 2nd and 3rd, and now they find themselves down in 4th and 5th. Northway, after that colossal mistake at the very start of this race, has somehow managed to get into P2 ahead of Jake Parker. Just 2 seconds the margin between Penne and Northway, this time by Northway, a non-record lap holder on the circuit. Can he be the one to chase down Penne? It's 2 seconds as we head to the final few corners of this race.
Wow, you can see there Josh Ritchie, the concentration. He's not too happy at this point in time. He's sitting in 5th position, not where he wants to be with this championship fight, but he knows McQueen is directly ahead of him. So right now, it's all about Penne. He's going to get those points coming into this race, but Northway, followed by Parker. How about Parker, though? You know, he's really holding his own. I'm expecting Northway, if he doesn't chuck it away, or he may chuck it away, but he comes in here. Now, look at Penne, though.
So Penne's
really slow coming through that chicane.
Yeah, 1.5 seconds the margin that time by as they got to the chicane. So here we go. I believe we're onto the final lap now. Jordan Penne holds a 2.2 second lead ahead of Robert Northway. Northway was as low as 6th at the start of this race, as we see Ethan Moore now tagging onto the back of Josh Ritchie on this final lap. It's lap 8 of 8 at Spa-Francorchamps. Penne has got a handful of seconds in the lead, followed by Northway, who's 2 seconds adrift. Parker just holding on behind. If he wants to get back into P2, this is the place to do it, down the Kimmel Straight. I don't think Northway is going to be able to catch Penne unless there's a mistake from the guy out in front.
And we all know who's more likely to make a mistake, at least statistically throughout the championship so far. But Northway, it's, apart from Jordan Penne being in front, this is an ideal scenario for him, but it's all about Ritchie and McQueen trying to shoot up through the standings. Parker, though, fighting for his right to play with the big boys.
Now, it's okay to block. Obviously, that's a really key part of motorsport. You know, you've got to have track etiquette, but blocking your position, as you've seen with Parker and, Josh Ritchie and McQueen last week, was all important. Josh Ritchie defended him off. Now it's McQueen and Ritchie having a little tussle as Ritchie, unfortunately, dropped behind McQueen. Up there right in front, you've got Parker, you've got Northway, and not to be seen just there dropping out of your screen is Penne. Penne put in the hours. He does deserve to be in 1st position. He's put in the hours more than anyone this week, hands down. What these guys really needed to do is not battle for 2nd, 3rd and 4th and realise what you've been saying, Simon, and get back up to Penne. It's a championship fight, but when you're out on the track right now, all you're looking at is I need that 2nd or 3rd position.
Oh, totally. And if you're Scott McQueen or Josh Ritchie now, you're just going to be tearing your hair out at the moment, because Penne, he's going to get 25 points. You know, the difference between 1st and 2nd is 7 points alone. That's a massive margin. These guys are further down the order, and they're going to lose a lot of ground to Penne. We're basically back to where we were before the last round now, where Penne has just managed to open up a lead. So Penne now 2.2 seconds. He's maintaining that gap ahead of Northway. Can Parker perhaps put in a last lap dash on Northway? This is the place to do it. Forget about Penne. He's got the race win in the bag. Sans any mistake.
He's slow on the
chicane,
chicane, so the chicane could be it. So we go now. McQueen, you're on board with Scott McQueen. Looking here, Robert Northway. Jake Parker's going to have a look on the outside. He's going to swoop back in on the inner side of the apex. A bit of a bobble there, which is going to hurt him. He's going to look on the inner apex again. Takes a look at Northway. Northway slow. We're not going to catch Penne. Penne clean and calculated, collected. He has been the man throughout the whole Project Cars Championship, brought to you by Star Insurance. But now, a look here from Parker.
That's it. There we go.
Done.
Penne wins. So, Northway gets P2, Parker gets P3, McQueen gets P4, and Ritchie gets P5. And it looks like, maybe a bit of gesticulating there from Josh Ritchie.
Who is he talking to but none other than Scott McQueen? I feel like he's going to have some words about
he's
that.
pointing. He's
pointing the finger.
Now, can we, hang on, do we have microphones in this room? No, we do. Can we turn them up?
It'd be interesting, but unfortunately not right now. But I
think they are looking for it too, actually.
Yeah, I hear him. I hear it in my ear. No, we don't want to. We don't want to go to that right now. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Those are your official results. Jordan Penne, 007 out in front. Great to see Robert Northway sitting up there in 2nd position, and so cool to see Jake Parker in 3rd position.
Scott McQueen is going to bring it home in P4. Josh Ritchie just behind him in 5th. Those guys will be gutted that they've lost a lot of ground to Penne in that race. Ethan Moore, Michael Robinson, and Louis De Manila in 6th, 7th, 8th, respectively. So I think that could be crucial in terms of deciding this championship with only 3 races left to go.
Yeah, and again, just to put it into perspective, is that Scott McQueen and Josh Ritchie, if you're not beating Jordan Penne, then you've got two things to worry about. Beat the other guy and make sure Robert Northway can't come up and overtake you. Now, Robert Northway still needs a few more races to do that, but McQueen overtaking Ritchie is crucial, right? I mean, he only is 2 points behind, so this should put him ahead for getting the Star Insurance fastest lap. We'll check that out soon. But I do believe we have one of the races on standby to see basically their experience throughout the race.
Here with Robert Northway. Robert, how are you feeling about that result?
I'm pretty stoked. I'm a little bit disappointed after lap 1 and dropping back, because I would have had something for Penne then, but it's completely surprised and stoked that I got my way back up to second from 6th.
Yeah, you would be. And speaking about being in 6th, you had a huge lock-up at the end of that first lap. What happened?
I don't know. I wasn't even trying to make an overtake, but I just lost it. I hadn't done that in practice at all or anything like that, so it was a weird one. I'll watch the replay to see what happened, try and work it out.
And as you mentioned, you fought your way from 6th place to 2nd. How did you manage to do it?
Just knuckled down, got my head down and attacked, and when I got to them, in the words of Daniel Ricciardo, I put a stamp on it and just sent it.
Awesome. And does this result change anything for you going into race 2?
No, just maximum attack, if in doubt, flat out, in the words of Colin McRae.
Fantastic. And how confident are you for that next race?
Actually, a lot more confident for that track than I was for the first one. I put a lot more practice in for Bruno, so yeah, pretty confident for that one.
Well, we're looking for your best. Best of luck, mate.
Cheers.
Man, Robert Northway is such a down-to-earth guy. I mean, you just get him up there, you say, look, how are you feeling? He's like, oh, yeah, great. You know, I'm feeling pretty good. You ask him, you know, how are you feeling? He's like, oh, you know what? It's just all about getting that winning, and then something about stamping and sending it. But look, the guy is just, again, it's such a different experience to having Josh Ritchie, and then you've got Robert Northway. And
yeah, well, Robert Northway's an avid motorsport follower, you know, as he's quoting legends of motorsport in its own right. Cool to see him chucking the hedgehog up there at the same time, you know, so great to see some personalities coming out in here. But like you said, he knuckled down 6th to 2nd, and a lot of these guys are actually confident on the second track, so if he can keep it together, thankfully he kept it together this round, it could really upset the championship.
Yeah, well, let's take a look at that Star Insurance Specialist fastest lap of the race. It does earn you one extra championship point, and it can make all the difference. Then we have it, Jordan Penne. If anyone needed extra points, I feel like it's not that guy, but he's worked hard and he's earned it once more. So he'll be propelling himself even further into that lead. So guys, before we go to a break, I want to remind you all, if you're watching at home, get onto Twitter and tweet at Let's Play Live HQ and use the hashtag ProjectCars2NZ, and you can go in the draw to win a copy of the game. All you have to do is tell us what your favorite road trip song of all time is. We've had a few really interesting ones, and maybe we'll touch on them a little bit later on, maybe a song, but nothing before we come back from a break. So make sure you sit through the break, and we'll be back with all the motorsport action.
Like us, you're passionate about cars. At Star Insurance Specialist, we create custom policies for Kiwis with exceptional vehicles. If you own a vintage, classic, performance, project or prestige car, your needs don't fit neatly into a box. We think special and unique cars deserve special and unique insurance. We don't let robots determine policy or price. Get on the road with a custom policy from Star Insurance Specialists. Go to starinsure.co.nz today.
flavor. Beats that move you.
All right, thanks for sticking through that break, ladies and gentlemen. We're back here for the Project Cars 2 New Zealand Championship, thanks to our friends at Star Insurance Specialists. You're back with Simon, Matt, and Brendan. I did it in a different order that time. But guys, we've been through our first race on the Spa-Francorchamps with a pretty standard result, I suppose. I mean, a few races down there a little bit where we'd expect them to be, well, up there a little bit. But there's still one more race to go for them to prove themselves. And let's take a look at that race.
So here we go, the Brno circuit. It's in the Czech Republic. It's an interesting one. On paper, it looks fairly boring and fairly bland, but it's a pretty fast circuit, and it's a circuit where you're really going to want to utilize the downforce. It's 5.4 kilometers long, 15 turns, 9 right, 6 left, built in 1987, and currently hosts the MotoGP Championship. Has hosted DTM, F3 World Superbikes, and the World Touring Car Championship, as well as A1GP, which New Zealand competed in once upon a time. But it takes about 2 minutes and 7 seconds to get around the circuit. So with about 12 laps, it'll be, I suppose, a lengthy race, 25 minutes in total probably, but should be good for passing. From what I've heard from the drivers, they say because it's got so many long radius sort of turns, it is quite good for passing, and there's lots of opportunities there with the straights in between.
All right, well, the races are, I believe they're actually already in the qualifying, so we'll check in with them very shortly, of course, just to see who is going to be in what grid order. They get a few minutes to do their best lap around the track, and that's going to decide how they set up at the start of the race. And we saw it work pretty well for Jake Parker. Could have worked a bit better, but still a good advantage. So very important part of the race.
Interesting to know we're racing at nighttime. Didn't think that was happening, but all right, we are.
Yeah,
It's more like Twilight.
Twilight night, but damage. Damage, what happens if you have a crash with the front of your car? Your lights come off.
Oh, exactly, and now just to make sure everyone's clear at home, the damage is visual only. However, certain things like your headlights, even your windscreen wipers, I believe, can break off, and they actually won't function anymore. So your visibility could be a little bit limited, but some of the races don't necessarily always drive in the same point of view.
Correct, but we've seen this in previous races where if you're in a night round and you lose your headlights, you can't see anything. There's a lot of these tracks don't actually have good lighting, so they're not fit out for night rounds. So it'll be really interesting to see if we have any of that come into this race. Now, we weren't aware that this was going to be a night race, so this is going to be pretty cool to see. I'm on board, obviously, with Josh Ritchie. He's right behind Scott McQueen. He's going to be one that's just going to push everything aside that happened last race to bank a good score and to obviously have a good race. Those two are the ones to watch on what they're going to do in this race. Scott McQueen, Josh Ritchie. Watch them like hawks.
Well, Penny basically needs to finish last in this race for Ritchie and McQueen to have any chance of winning. So we've got a bit of an update on the point standings after the fourth to last race in this championship. So Jordan Penny, unsurprisingly, maintaining that championship lead. So keep this in mind, 254 points, followed by Ritchie and McQueen equal on second place on 205 points. So the difference is two race wins, essentially.
To put it into perspective again with a little bit of quick maths, is that with 3 races left, which is where we're at now, you need to be at least 66 points ahead of someone to make sure they're never ever going to overtake you. So Penne is 49 points ahead, so he's still, like you said, needs to get essentially last in most of these races, but...
And bank on those guys in second to get a win. So it's super tight, obviously, down in second, equal, essentially. Robert Northway, well, he's pretty close to getting voted off the island on 177 points. And
Love Island here at LPL.
Yeah, the island, you know.
The girls all watching at home at the moment.
Ethan Moore in P5 down on 144. It's a use of speech, you know. It's like simile or something.
Parker, it's go. You know, hey, it's
simile.
unfortunate.
I don't think you know what that word
It's unfortunate to see Parker in 106 because, you know, he's showing his colours. It would have been great to see him show some colours a bit sooner. D. Manila, 96, equal with Michael Robinson now. We just haven't seen much of Michael Robinson, which is unfortunate, you know. He seemed to be a really charismatic guy. He's really into motorsport outside of this, but maybe it's all about, you know, how much time you put in outside of the series. And now one thing you've got to note is tyre wear is on in this race as we get to the pointy end of the championship. So first couple of laps out, it's always going to be cold tyres, so you've got to get the heat in the tyres and then you'll be getting better scores as you go through the qualifying.
Big ups to Jordan Penny, obviously, with that race win last time out, and unfortunate to see guys like Richie and McQueen as we see those tyres get taken out. Unfortunate to see them have I don't want to say uncharismatic result, because we have seen them have the occasional 4th or 5th place position in this season, but Penny has just been Mr. Consistent. He's the Iceman. He's cool, calm, and collected. He's just one of those guys who can just pull a race together and just stay up front. We saw it at
I love
Le
your
Mans.
Top Gun reference there, as my favourite song tonight was for Top Gun. Sorry, yeah. Carry on. On board right now is Scott McQueen. Yes, currently sitting at 207.83, so he is right now your pole qualifier, followed by Parker, Penny, Manila, Richie, Moore, Robinson and Northway. Remember, at cold tyres as McQueen right now gets a bit loose and a bit sideways. D1NZ Styles around the corner. Now we will see faster times as we see tyres out on the track there. That's probably Louis punting those off, but that's okay. Now Louis needs, this is where I really need Louis to take the $50 I offered him to take out Jordan Penny. Now one thing Penny did say though is they've actually been, it's a bit of a camaraderie going between these guys now.
Gentleman's agreement.
Well, we're seeing them all going over to each other's house and using the Sims, so the championship has created a bit of bromance and a bit of friendship here, which is quite nice.
And that's what makes it so much easier for Louis to just go in there. They won't be expecting it to take it out.
Go for the jugular. Boom. Sorry, mate.
Earn your friend's trust and then just completely betray it. But we have seen Northway finally complete his lap, and he's coming to P6, so he did improve that in the last race during qualifying, so we may see that again. But he's certainly going to be one to want to be right there up at the top, because he's close. Not impossible to overtake in 3rd place in championship standings, but he will have to get just basically the best results possible to overtake McQueen and Richie.
Well, very aggressive driving there from McQueen as he comes around for another lap. We'll see if he banks a faster score on the first one. 207 is currently the benchmark, ladies and gentlemen, as you tuned in at home. We're live here from the Sky Tower, directly in the Sky Tower, beaming out all over New Zealand. Thanks for tuning in via Sky TV.
That's what the aerial for is.
206, a 206 by Penny drops it into the 206 mark. So that is not what Richie or McQueen are going to want to see. He gets out pole position.
It's super tricky at the moment for these guys in second equal for Richie and McQueen, because if Penny gets a win,
that's it, right?
It's pretty close.
Yeah.
It's super close, and we obviously don't want to have the championship decided a week out from the final round. But you know, for Richie and McQueen, the ethos of if you're not first, you're last is pretty telling here in some ways. You know, for Penny, if he wins it, it puts him in the box seat. He pretty much just has to finish in these final 2 races. So McQueen, Penny, Richie, top 3. I think we're going to see Penny be hard pushed to get past, but Richie and McQueen, they're going to have to do something.
Well, look, this is where the battle is, isn't it? The
It's
battle is
205
for
equal.
second and third.
Yeah.
And that's $3,000, I think, for second and
$2,000
for third. So that's some serious money on the line. I'd love that sort of money for winning a race. So these guys, you know, you've got to give it to them. A lot of commitment, you know. So if you actually divided your prize, I feel really sorry for the people under third position, because you get nothing, you know. And that's a lot of time and effort these guys have put in coming in every week. You know, we're obviously over 8 weeks. So Pino right now, he's going to be the man to beat. And you really do have to give it to the guy. He is the only one who's put in the hours at night. And if you want to excel at something in life, do the hard work. Simple as that. Do the hard work, the results pay off. Pene's results are paying off.
Well, it's interesting to see too, for someone like Penny, when we did that episode of Cribs, his...
Why didn't we do more of
I don't
those?
know,
eh?
man. We should have, but, you know, you saw a steering wheel. It's the same steering wheel here as what he has at home. It's virtually an identical setup in many ways, only a few minor changes like the gear stick and a few other bits. But, you know, for him to come from home to here,
It's not a big change.
it's not a huge change, and it's going to be really comfortable for him. It's going to be fairly seamless. The only thing that might be different is his office chair versus
No,
you know,
see,
the full
there's no,
rigs.
he hasn't got an office chair. We're talking about his setup. He welded up a frame, and he's actually got a Sylvia seat
Oh, you're
inside there.
kidding?
Yeah, so these guys, you know, a lot of people actually mod up their own bucket seats and so forth, and you can actually get the full setup on Speed Nation, and it's not that expensive for a full setup. It's like $1,300 for, you know, the bucket seat, the pedals, the steering wheel. So it's pretty good, it's pretty competitive. If you actually go to a real shop and buy a real race bucket seat, you're looking at $500 to $1,000 anyway.
Which is a lot cheaper than, well, a whole car, right? You get the whole setup, you've got it at home, and you can race any car in the world you want on any track.
$200,000 for
Yeah.
one of these for a start, at
Well,
least.
Especially when it's like my car and it sits in the garage and only gets used once every 3 or 4 months, and everyone else uses it.
Can I take a risk, Brendan?
And if you treat it like Northway has, it's going to end up looking like that. It's going to cost you
Well,
more.
It's got no
Yeah.
lights. There you
What
go.
do you mean?
That
You
is
can't
my
see
prime
anything.
example. This is what I was talking about earlier, ladies and gentlemen. No lights. Can't spot the apex until the apex is there. Some of the circuit is lit up, some's not. Now, this is qualifying, so we're going to see these lights damage. I guess I'm pretty sure we will. They'll get readdressed. And how does he hit anyone in qualifying? There's
Probably hit
beyond
those
me.
tyres
Oh, right.
on the
Okay.
inside of the
Pushing
turn.
it. So he is in second position, so he deserves that. So second position right now with a 206.9. And look at those times.
He did. Northway did also finish his first lap way after everyone else, so I feel like he had a bit of a mistake, reset everything, and then went again. So that could also be where the lights turned out.
Now, I was talking to Pene earlier. He did say that in practice he had, just interesting to watch this and see really the visibility that they don't have. Pene said that he had the fastest times on both tracks tonight from practice. So it looks like we've got pits. We've got 4 minutes remaining though, but Parker is in the pit, so maybe he's happy with his time at this stage.
Maybe he wants his lights repaired.
Yeah, perhaps. But it's interesting because these guys, they talk about the tyre wear and getting quite hot. It's sensible to move, or a sensible move to make, to go and do a couple of laps, get the most out of those tyres, get them up to temperature, and then come in and grab a new set. So for a guy like Jake Parker, who finished second in that last race, it's probably not a bad decision to come
It's
in.
a good strategy move.
Yeah.
It's a good thing to bring up.
Yeah. So I think you might see, as we see Robert Northway pulling off to the right side of the circuit, he's going to teleport back into his pit box, and he'll probably get going for another maybe lap or two. He's only
Maybe
got
he's
3.5
listening to you, dude.
minutes.
That was perfect timing. So in qualifying, if you're watching at home, the guys can actually stop their qualifying. They just push escape on the keyboard, and it teleports them back to the pit, straight back out on the track.
Very convenient compared to, I mean, when you're out there in real world racing, yeah, it's got a lot of benefits, but having to drive the car all the way back just to reset your lap, essentially, it's not even really an option in a lot of qualifying. So the fact that you can just do that, I think is pretty cool.
All right, so Pene and Northway currently you're still your leaders there, first and second as we get close to the pointy end. 2 minutes 58 remaining on this, ladies and gentlemen. McQueen, Moore, Parker. Someone that is going to be really not happy about his qualifying position is Richie at this stage, and he hasn't gone in the pit, so he's still trying to bank his score. He's sitting in 6th position at the moment as Cameron gets a bit wobbly. Very uncharacteristic for a game like that, wobble again. So Richie, as we said earlier on, 205. Josh Ritchie and Scott McQueen are both sitting on 205 championship points after last race. Now with Ritchie further down the track, if McQueen gets the jump on this race and he gets a better position than Josh Ritchie, that's a lot of pressure on for next week for Josh Ritchie to try to jump up into second position.
Especially if it's a big difference in the finishings tonight. For example, if McQueen finishes somewhere around second or first, but Ritchie slips down to 6th or 7th, or God forbid 8th, that could essentially be just the death sentence for him, right? I mean, it's almost impossible to make up those points in the next few races, so really needs to at least equal what McQueen's doing.
Pene in pits right now. Don't forget the squad coming up tomorrow night, 7 p.m.
Played with the
via
All Blacks
Twitch.
last week.
That's pretty rad.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. They even got the Victory Royale, which is where they essentially beat 96 other people in the game. That's pretty massive. And in front of a whole crowd.
The All Blacks actually play, though, don't they?
Yeah,
They're
no, I
into
mean, they actually play normally, so it's not like getting a bunch of noobs to come into the studio and play. Noobs. That's a word we use here.
Newbies, you know, you call new drifters noobs.
It's not an insult.
Yeah.
It's just people that are new to the game. So the fact that they play...
Not noobs,
I mean,
Simon.
noobs.
Yeah,
What did you think I
noobs.
said?
Noobs.
Yeah. We're not talking about Geordie Cole here on LPL.
I feel like I'm
All
missing
right.
some kind of in-joke there.
Jordan Pinner is currently gone into the
The
pit
hashtag
lane,
on the
and
bed of
Robert
that-
Northway
of that
is in
guy's
P2
car.
at the moment.
Yeah.
So our two main contenders in this qualifying session are in the pit lane at the moment. Scott Lightning McQueen currently not leading in P3 at the moment. Ethan Moore, surprisingly, up into P4.
Pretty sure Louis de Manila knows someone just went wildly off track just then.
Oh.
Hooks to the left, straight away. Escapes. It looks like it was Robinson because I saw that pop up straight away back into pits there.
Yeah, just teleported away because he can do that.
Just like real life.
Just like in
Simulation,
real life.
right?
That's right. Now, I mean, look, Moore is someone that does occasionally pop up in the upper half of the qualifying sometimes. In fact, he's actually had pole position in at least one race. So
Yeah.
it's not too much of a surprise to see him shooting up there. It's probably about average mark for him.
He
Look,
needs
if we
more
saw-
pace, though.
If we
let's be
saw
fair.
more in the same position as Parker last race, I would imagine we would have seen more on the podium. Because once he's out there, he's very consistent. You know, he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. Unfortunately for Parker, a few mistakes, didn't really see him, but still, really, really good result from him. Louis de Manila, our favourite Filipino. This is the guy that we talk about. Check him out on Facebook. He's had a lot of track time and a lot of time in different cars in motorsport all around the world. Not really the results that Louis had wanted of this championship, but that is 73 seconds to go in qualifying. A lot of them will probably stay in pits now.
Well, look, I mean, Louis and Michael Robinson have a little bit of a competition of their own to go on. I mean, we talk about this tie for second and third. It's a tie for seventh and eighth. So, I mean, look, if you don't want to get last place,
Who wants the wooden spoon more,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
It's the wooden spoon competition. So these races, I mean, while it feels like, okay, they're out of the money, they can't really get too much out of this, they do have a little bit of pride on the line. So at least they've got something to battle for in the race ahead. But we'll get a look at the grid coming up after the qualifying round just to see exactly where everyone is going to be. But guys, I mean, how are you feeling after how that came out? Pretty standard so far.
Yeah, I'd have to say I really hope that this race goes a lot like there's a lot of tracks that have surprised us. You know, we're thinking, oh, those tracks are going to be, you know, we're not going to see a lot of tight racing. So I really hope this track surprises us and we get a lot of good tight-knit racing and we get some really good battles going on. And somebody doesn't let Pena just get that lead out in front. Simon, what do you reckon?
Oh man, I don't know. It's a little bit tricky for me because I want to see Richie and McQueen do really well, but it's gonna come at the cost of someone like Jordan Penny. So I think, you know, tonight at this last race of the night, it's tricky.
Yeah.
It's super tricky. It's a circuit which has got lots of short, sharp straights, which is conducive for probably some good racing because these guys are going to be able to be sort of up close behind each other in the sort of the shorter legs and the big sweeping corners. So yeah, I think we could be in for quite a good race.
Yeah, well, let's take a look at the qualifying results to see where all the races are going to be sitting in the position and the grid. But Jordan Pena in that pole position, followed up by Robert Northway, Scott McQueen. I feel like the biggest surprise here is just that Josh Ritchie is sitting down there in P6.
Yeah, it's a bit disappointing for him. 1.2 seconds behind Jordan Penny, so you know he won't be happy with that result by any means. Good to see Jake Parker in the top 5 at the moment. Louis de Manila and Michael Robinson rounding out the top 8. 1.8 seconds covering the entire field, but just 1/10 between first and second. So we're not far away from getting this final race of the night underway at Brno. What do you reckon? Who's going to win it?
Final, yeah, let's play Fantasy League. Who's first, second, third for you?
Look, you got to put Jordan Pena at the top. I mean, you'd be a fool not to. Scott McQueen qualified pretty well, so I'd put him in P2. Josh Ritchie has to work pretty hard to get up there, so I'm actually going to put Northway up there in P3, but I feel like P2 and P3 could actually go either way. But ladies and gentlemen, we're not too far away from getting into the race, and it's going to be starting any moment now. And this one, it's such an important one for those leaderboard holders.
That's right. As you can see there, Josh Ritchie just... He knows the pressure. You can see his leg jittering along. Simon, how are you going to, you know, we're going to touch on one thing, especially if Penny where Penny will place could mean it might be a championship decider tonight. I'm getting over the race control. They're saying we can talk about that a bit later in the race. But Fantasy League, who are you going for?
I want Josh to do well because he's shown the characteristics of being a winner. But, you know, if Jordan wins this race, the championship is done. It's his. He wins the championship. And it's basically just a fight for second and third for that extra grand, I suppose. So we're only moments away from starting this race here at the Brno circuit in the Czech Republic. 8 of the fastest racing drivers in the country. Let's see as it looks like Northway just creeping forward a little bit from that second position. Who's going to get the jump? Looks like Northway gets a really good start that time by Penny slotting in beside him, and it looks like a bit of bumping even. This is maybe some of the drama that we needed. If McQueen and Richie are going to have any chance of winning this championship, McQueen slots into P3 behind Ethan Moore, sweeping around the outside, hoping to get a couple of positions off the start. So let's have a look now. It looks like Northway's lights have gone out at the front of the field. So Northway currently leads from Penny, McQueen, Moore, Richie, Parker, Manila, Robinson. That's your top 8 as they head down into turn 4 now. McQueen's going to send it down the inside, and he's going to get past Penny potentially, but Penny will have the inside line into the next corner. They do bump shoulders, and it looks like Moore has managed to get up into P4 as well. Richie just slotting into P5 at the moment, but it's currently Robert Northway leading this race. So as we go into another one of these big, long radius right-handers, Northway just holding on to the lead now. Looks like maybe Penny got a good run on him that time by, but it looks like McQueen, Justin P3 Parker's also making a challenge on Richie now. Richie down at P5. He would not be happy with that start.
No, so what you've got to also remember is first lap, cold tyres. So these guys aren't going to be pushing full tit at this stage. They're just going to be backing it off a bit because you'll see a few of these cars getting loose. But the pressure is on right now, is on Jordan Penny. And Scott McQueen having some Rubbings Racing moments off the start line there, and definitely, obviously, in this point here. So we're on Scott McQueen now. Jordan Penny, this is not where, obviously, Scott McQueen or Josh Ritchie want to see him, but he's got Robert Northway out front. Now, Robert Northway is renowned for chucking it away, but what we want is Robert Northway to stay out there. So there's pressure on. And Scott McQueen now takes a look on the inside for Penny. This is what we want. He takes another look on the inner apex here as they go up the hill. It's going to be an interesting race. What we want is it to keep nice and tight. So if Penny wins this race, it could mean the championship is sealed. It would mean he'd have to DNF the next 2 races, I'm pretty sure, to not win. Now, if he comes last or if he comes further down the field, there's still a slight chance.
Yeah, it's almost locked in if he gets it, so he'll be definitely wanting to win this one here. Jordan Penny right there in P2, but Northway, I mean, we said him during the pre-show that Northway is one of the ones to look out for. He's had varying results sitting here in P1, and it's very important for him to win these races so that he can overtake both Scott McQueen and Josh Ritchie, and then he can get into money, because that is not out of the question just yet.
He's 23 points behind, I believe, in this championship, so it's a bit of a margin, but it's not insurmountable, that's for sure. He currently leads this race, racing without his headlights. That, and it looks like Penny maybe taking a bit of a defensive line through what is turn 3 now. So it's an interesting circuit, this one, full of long radius right and left-handers. 9 turns are right and 5 turns are left. It's, I guess on paper it looks kind of boring, but there's a fair few opportunities for passing around the circuit. McQueen is going to have to put in an absolute barn burner if he wants to catch Penny in second at the moment. It looks like that margin has sort of stabilized just a little bit. Northway just dropping back a little bit into the clutches of Penny now. If these guys start battling for the lead, hopefully that brings in Moore and Richie into this battle, who are just 1.5 seconds in arrears.
Josh Ritchie sitting quite far back, and again, he's an emotional racer, but he needs to put everything that's happened so far to the side, even his qualifying result, to pull out the best result he possibly can here, because Scott McQueen essentially just needs to beat Josh Ritchie. I mean, there's some maths involved with Northway there, but the important thing on Scott McQueen's mind is to beat Josh Ritchie, and he's currently doing that fairly well.
Yeah, he's going to be really happy with the results right now, and he's sitting right there on Penny as well. And he's putting the pressure on Penny. You can see Penny's all a bit darty over the track, but I guess the pressure is really on Robert Northway now. And he's unfortunately not a guy that really, he cracks sometimes under that pressure. So Robert Northway, keep it together now. This is your race to win. This is your race to bump yourself up the championship. And Scott McQueen takes it ever so slightly on that apex. He stays away from the tyres now. They push wide. It's very close between this championship. There's no real huge gaps here. As you look on the left-hand side of your screen and these times, the top 207s now, 1, 2, 3, 4, very close, and only 208 for the bottom ones.
You say that the pressure is on Northway, but the pressure is actually on Richie and McQueen now. They have to get up the front as we see Richie get past Ethan Moore. He's making moves now that's going to help his championship bid, but it won't help with Pene out in P2 at the moment. Pene, if he wins this, he's in the boxy, as it looks like he's maybe going for a move down the inside of Northway now. Northway going defensive, will go, hopefully cut back to the lead now, and yes, here we go, Pene just hustling to get past Northway. Maybe Northway made a mistake there out of turn 1. So yeah, Northway's not racing with his lights on, which is a little bit odd. We saw McQueen flashing his lights before, Northway on the brakes just that little bit later, but can Pene make a move on what is lap 3 of 10 here at Brno?
And what's going to be happening now is right behind him, because he's slowing down Pene, as you've got the likes of McQueen and Richie. McQueen and Richie now sitting in 3rd and 4th position, vying for that championship. If something happens between Pene and Northway, that's what we want for this championship.
It could all just blow up, you know.
We want it.
And look, McQueen, he's right on Pene's rear wing now. So the top 3 are covered by just half a second now. McQueen just looking to get past Pene now. Pene looking to get past Northway. Richie looking on in 4th. He'll be wanting to get onto that podium position now. We know that Northway is prone to mistakes. Will we see another one here? We're 3 laps into this race at Brno. Can McQueen displace Pene for 2nd now, as we see him just showing his nose a little bit? It looks like he's taking a bit of an alternative racing line to some of these other guys, looking to go more aggressive, more shallow through some of the corners, but just holding P2 at the moment, and that's compromised his line a little bit and has allowed Pene to get back up ahead.
Oh, look, this is a tight race for 1st, 2nd, 3rd and 4th right now. It's definitely what we wanted to see in the championship. We would have liked to see, unfortunately for those viewers at home that are watching for Pene right now, Pene a bit further down that, but there's a mathematical chance still that Josh Ritchie or Scott McQueen can take this championship. So we will find out next week who the ultimate winner is of the Project Cars 2 Star Insurance Specialist New Zealand title. But right now it's all about Scott McQueen putting the pressure on and Pene putting the pressure on Robert Northway.
I can certainly guarantee you, though, that Pene is now going to finish in the top 3. He's in the money. He's certainly secured that. Now it's whether he can secure in that 1st place. Getting a 1st place finish here today will certainly
Scott
help
McQueen
that
now
chance.
takes a look down the inside of Jordan Pene, doesn't take him out now. So really interesting to note, obviously Robert Northway has lost his lights, but so in certain parts of this track it's going to hurt him. Scott McQueen now takes another look on the right hand side. Is he going to get a bit of a draft coming down into this corner? Robert Northway, even though he's lost the lights, he goes for the look down on the inside. Who's going to be there on the brakes? Scott McQueen. Can he seal the deal under the brakes? Looks, Pene will look on the right-hand side. Jordan Pene tries to take it back, but Scott McQueen and Jordan Pene now punts the tyres, but Scott McQueen seals the deal. 2nd position, now the pressure is on McQueen. Robert Northway, though, no lights, still out in front, clean and crisp.
No lights Northway, huh?
No lights Northway.
And he's out in front now. Who cares if you can't see him? He's got the lead. He's a 2nd ahead of McQueen now. Pene has dropped back to 3rd, but Richie, a bit surprising, in that battle, didn't manage to get up onto the rear of Pene or McQueen in that little encounter. You would have thought maybe with those guys battling up ahead, he would have been able to catch up. As we see Pene trying to take advantage of the draft, the slipstream as we call it, down these short, sharp shoots. It looks like Richie maybe just 2, maybe 3 seconds back of these guys. His last time by was actually a 2nd slower than Pene.
Early braking there from Pene as they come up over the hill. Now, if this was, say, 3 or 4 races earlier, I would give this straight away that I would know Pene would be taking Scott McQueen. But over the last few weeks, we've seen Scott McQueen and Josh Ritchie have really good battles. They've tussled and they've swapped positions time and time again, and they've defended their position really well. So Scott McQueen, the pressure while it's on him, I think he can hold off Pene if he drives a clean line here. 3 or 4 races ago, definitely not. So Scott McQueen's really settled into this, and he's actually extended a weeny bit of a gap there as Robert Northway now chucks it. He's got a good lead there, 207.65, 208 by McQueen, 209 by Pene. So clean air there for the world champion, Robert Northway.
And I think we're seeing sort of that difference because that time is obviously a lot slower for Pene and McQueen, having had that battle on the last lap. So that's just going to allow Northway to stretch his legs a little bit up in the lead. Look to see that margin hopefully come down now between McQueen and Northway. Those guys are obviously quick. Northway is a record holder on the circuit but can he maintain it? That is the question. He's been prone to making mistakes. We've seen one at just about every round, and that has been why he's not leading this championship. I think on at least 3 occasions he's been either leading or in the points, in the sort of like the top 3 margin, and he's made a mistake. You know, he finds himself now on 177 points. 1 win would put him basically on par with McQueen had he not thrown it away at Donington.
Ooh, now that's really cool to see. Now another thing to point out is Moore is currently putting the pressure on quite hard with Josh Ritchie. You can see him right there. Look at Moore. Josh Ritchie is not going to be liking this because he knows he's trying to get up right now to Pene, which is right in front of him. But Ethan Moore comes in, he puts the pressure on, lights on, and you can see it. If you were sitting in this sim right now in your rear vision mirror, you're going to be seeing Ethan Moore right there. And Ethan Moore is not a man you want to let get in front of you because he is a textbook racer. And you get him in front as he does now. He tries to take a look down the inside, but Josh Ritchie just doesn't get it done under the brakes. Good line there by Ethan Moore, though. He's going to come out strong. Is he going to be able to sling? No. Is he going to take another look? No, he just sits on back down there for Josh Ritchie.
If you're Josh Ritchie, you don't want to be having this battle, right?
No, definitely not.
Ethan Moore is as good a racer as he is. He's not who you want to be worrying about right now. You're worrying about McQueen and Pene and even Northway at this point if you want to stay in the money. Right now, he's got more on his tail. It's more about frustration than anything.
Well, I think all they're going to be thinking about rather than the money right now is actually defending and blocking Ethan Moore and just keeping on the track and trying to bank those scores. Have another look, a quick look to the left-hand side. Robert Northway still in the 207s. No, just banked a 208. Slower lap right now than Scott McQueen. So Scott McQueen will be gaining a slight advantage on Robert Northway. Pene, there's still 208s, that top 3. So, not a big gap. Ritchie just too far back at this stage.
And that's going to be really detrimental to his championship chase. For someone like McQueen, he's going to leg it on Ritchie now. And basically, that's a grand's difference. That's a fair few driving experiences in Japan, probably when he goes over there. So for someone like Ritchie, he'll be pretty gutted now, sitting down in P4 at the moment, knowing that McQueen, you'll see on the leaderboard on his screen that McQueen is in P2 now and narrowing that margin to Northway in the lead. So it's down to just 6/10 now. Looks like Penny made a mistake last time by down at turn 4, and that's just allowed McQueen and Northway to leg it just a little bit more.
A bit of pressure there for, I guess, Jordan Pene. And it right now is his championship to lose, and he knows it, so he's just got to stay on the black stuff, on the hot stuff. Not that it'd be too hot right now, being a twilight round. We go on board with Scott McQueen. Really good driving here from Scott McQueen. Nice line there coming into the apex. Late apex now, pushes out wide. And he's going to be pretty proud of himself if he manages to catch up to Robert Northway, because Robert Northway is a fast driver. Interesting black little puff of smoke or computer game glitch going on there. Robert Northway, kudos to him though. He's driving with no lights and he's still in the lead. And he's still out there, and he's still, okay, he is a bit slower than Scott McQueen. So if we see another fast lap by Scott McQueen, potentially what we're going to see is Scott McQueen take the lead.
Northway's hope of breaking into the top 3 do rely on him getting first place here. Otherwise, you're really just hoping that Josh Ritchie or Scott McQueen just get last in the last 2 races. So it's so important for him to hold the P1 position here, especially with McQueen right on his tail.
Now there's still a good little battle going on between 4th and 5th position between Ritchie and Moore as these ones spin out. Scott McQueen doing really well there to just keep the tightness on Northway. But I guess Pene, maybe he knows that he doesn't have to push too much. He's got this gap behind him. He's got this gap in front. And he goes, well, look, as long as I seal the deal here and get a 3rd position or a 2nd position, it's good. So if he pushes it too hard, maybe he knows, what, look, I'm going to lose the championship lead. So we go back now, we're going to look, here's a bit of a battle going on in the lower ranks of the field. This is where maybe the rumble in the park is going to happen. Ritchie and Moore. Robinson right behind them now. Ethan Moore sits on there. Josh Ritchie. Josh Ritchie is not going to be happy about this at all. But the pressure really is on Moore as well, too, to get past Ritchie, because it's going to propel him up in the championship. Good racing going on between these guys. Ethan Moore's a real consistent driver. And Josh Ritchie, sometimes when he gets the pressure on him, he just cracks a weeny bit.
I feel like so many of these races as well, we just gave them more time to develop. I mean, 8 weeks is long, but if we gave them even longer. Ethan Moore, Jake Parker, they've already put out some stunning performances so far. I feel like if they had more time to develop, they could be real contenders for the championship.
Yeah, right behind Moore is Robinson. We'll see how close Robinson is right now. maybe we can get a switch jump that can. Tully brought us to the bike car, but you're looking at that right now. Northway, McQueen, Pena, Ritchie, nothing really changed up there. It's even more. No, he's quite far back at this stage, Michael Robinson. So no pressure right now on Ethan Moore and a slight pressure on Ritchie. So really the only person with pressure is Robert Northway and Josh Ritchie. As Louis de Melillo has a little lick on Robinson.
Louis what?
Louis the fastest Filipino. Tongue twister.
Interesting to note, he was actually flashing his lights before, so maybe he was just trying to distract Robinson up ahead as he gets a run around the outside. Looks like that time couldn't quite get a move done on Robinson just up ahead of him, but that margin just out in front, by the way, has just sort of stabilized at just under a second. So 6/10 that last time by, it looks like it's narrowing just a little bit. So Northway and McQueen, this is your battle for the lead. There's just a handful of laps left to go. We've got a fight in the forest brewing here at Brno. Can Northway hold on to the lead, or will McQueen put in a charge late in the race here? Let's see whose tyres are going to hold on for this last stanza. We know that McQueen has been fighting to get up to the lead. Northway, though, in clean air, has been the one who's just been cool, calm and collected and hasn't made a mistake just yet. It's been the bane of his championship all season. It's just the occasional error. But Brno is potentially just the circuit that might put him right. It's a circuit that has lots of fast, sweeping corners, and perhaps one that's just not throwing too many spinners in the works in terms of any variability. We're not seeing a heck of a lot of passing going along at the moment, but it looks like McQueen is just narrowing that margin down. It's down to 4/10 now. So lap by lap, he's just cutting into the margin with Northway just up ahead. And it looks like now he's got a really good run on him as we head down into this dipper section. Can Northway hold on to the lead, or is McQueen going to take some valuable points into the final round of this championship and maybe put some pressure on Penny in third at the moment?
Now what is important to see is these guys in first and second. If they have a battle and they keep blocking each other or they keep tussling, Penny sitting down, just sitting there, happily taking third position. And if there's a battle that goes on here and they take their time up, Penny, straight past, straight into it. Penny, sorry, I should say Penny, could really get that first position. And what we want to see is Scott McQueen take Robert Northway, sit in there. Robert Northway drops back, and that will really spice this championship.
Yeah, well, if anything, we want to see McQueen get past Northway and Northway hold position in P2 if we're really going to have a championship battle, because the difference between first and second, as we said earlier before, is 7 points. That's substantial in the way that this championship could go. We'll maybe do a bit of quick math, if you like, and see how this could play out as Northway makes a mistake. Looks like Northway, he's just compromised his line onto the front straight now. McQueen needs to tuck his nose under the rear wing of Northway in the lead now. We've only got 2 laps to go here at Brno. Can McQueen put in one last dash and maybe take the lead and some valuable championship points on this title chase?
This is where Northway's consistency is really going to be put to the test, but we've also got to talk about McQueen as well. He's been taking alternate routes as well, trying to get really aggressive and overtake just anyone he can. Northway, the only one remaining, and he's going to look for it here to see if he can get in there.
And he's going to have to switch on back through. He tries on the outside. He's going to try to switch back under the bumper onto the left. We've got another right hand. He's going to try to switch again. Take another look on the inner of the apex. Late apex as it cuts the corner a bit. What a little battle, ladies and gentlemen, here between Robert Northway and Scott McQueen. He should have kept behind Robert Northway just a bit longer to get the slipstream, but he takes another look. Blocks him. Where is Penny in all of this? Is he going to be close? Is this going to be causing an upset and letting Penny close the gap?
Northway said it earlier about sending it down the inside. He quoted Daniel Ricciardo. He said, I'm going to lick the stamp and send it. But it looks like, if anything, he's on the defensive now. He's the postman, and he doesn't want this guy sending his letter down the inside, that's for sure. McQueen putting on a lot of pressure on Northway. Where is Penny in all of this? He's a 1.5 seconds behind. So if these guys come to blows, he could be the one who takes the advantage and maybe takes the championship lead again here for this weekend. Let's see now. Can McQueen just put the pressure on? He goes a little bit wide that time by as we head down to the far end of the circuit. That margin just stabilizing at 0.3 seconds. McQueen just ever so slightly narrowing the margin to Northway. Northway is putting in an absolute stormer here at the moment to hold on to the lead now as he gets a little bit wide now. That opens the door up for McQueen. McQueen, he's weaving. He's trying to find a way past. Interesting to note that he's gone around the outside now. Can he hold the position if he gets alongside of it? And then you have the inside for the next corner. Not quite. It looks like that's compromised Northway's line though, and it's going to compromise him onto the front straight. Cam McQueen. Here we go. It's the final lap. Now he gets it down the inside. The bump and run. A fantastic move there by McQueen. He's managed to get just ahead of Northway now. Fantastic driving there from the man who's hardly even played the game before. Looks like McQueen just defending now as Northway tries to show his nose down the inside. And here comes Jordan Penny. It's the final lap here at Beno.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you wanted it close, this is as close as it gets now. And Robert Northway takes another look on the outside. Robert Northway now down the outside. Penne is right there, though. Not what Josh Ritchie or Scott McQueen wants, or Robert Northway. Penne's now going to be in this fight as well. Now Robert Northway takes back the lead. Is he going to be able to make it stick?
Oh,
McQueen now into second. Robert Northway showing the skill, the world champion. Robert Northway. Scott McQueen now gets loose. No. Penne now takes a look on the outside. Ladies and gentlemen, is this it? Scott McQueen, Penne, who's better on the brakes? Scott McQueen comes on the inside, defending, too wide on the corner, still too wide. Scott McQueen now better on the brakes, but he's going to
he's
take into third position.
No, not quite. McQueen comes back. They hit. It looks like McQueen's going to try and send it back down the inside this time by. We have the inside for the next corner too, but then it's a quick right-hander. So can Penny hold it around the outside? Not this time, but that's handed the advantage straight back to Northway, and he has got the lead now. He's got a handy margin. It's out to 8/10. McQueen gets a little bit wide, and that allows Penny to get alongside. McQueen, he covers off. Is he going to send him onto the grass? He goes as tight as possible. 2 wheels on the grass this time by. Penny just jumps out of it for the last time here. We've only got 4 corners to go. Northway a second out in front now. McQueen was leading this race, but now he's dropped back into the clutches of Jordan Penny as he gets
McQueen
loose.
goes sideways.
He's gone.
Is that going to be it? No. Manages to make it stick coming through. That's going to scrape his time though. Is it going to be able to give Penne a lead? This is where Penne is going to make his move, ladies and gentlemen. He's going to tuck on in. He's going to try to get the slipstream. Here we go. Penne on the outside, on the right, but it's a left-hand turn. Scott McQueen under the brakes. Scott McQueen now is going to try to take a look on the inside. McQueen now blocks. McQueen's allowed to block, but it's Robbins racing.
Around the outside.
Around the outside, ladies and gentlemen.
It's a drag race to the finish.
Who's it going to be?
They
McQueen.
They bump.
Penny.
Who's going to get it?
Fight.
Oh,
McQueen
Penny.
takes second.
No, Penny.
Penny takes second. Oh my God.
Fantastic racing. Look, he is pumped. And look at these guys. McQueen. Oh,
Look at
no.
Josh
And look at
Ritchie.
Josh Ritchie. You read his lips. He's not making a prayer, that's for sure. Look at Jordan Penny. He is absolutely stoked. Scott McQueen on the last lap went from leading this race to third.
Oh my God. Okay,
Drama.
guys. Let's first talk about what all of this means, right? We had Northway come in and he took P1, right? That's all good so far. I mean, we'll actually get a look at the leaderboard so far. But Northway, the fact that McQueen got third, that means he's got a 10-point closing of the gap, essentially. And over the next 2 races after this one's now finished, that's enough for him to get into the money. And it's not even talking about the fact that he got an even bigger lead on Ritchie, which is going to get him even closer to getting into the money. This means there is going to be some serious contention for 3rd and 4th place in the final week of the championship. But let's take a look at the leaderboard for the 3rd last race of the entire championship.
All right, there you go, the race results. Robert Northway out in front, and he's going to be really happy about that, flying up from Christchurch. Jordan Penne in 2nd position. Scott McQueen stoked to still be there in the points in 3rd position.
Josh Ritchie in P4. He'll be a little bit gutted now that Robert Northway has managed to get a win. We'll have to see how that championship sort of picture plays out. But I think Robert Northway now, I think we're going to see a good battle there for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th for those final money positions, I suppose you could call them. So, man, that was wild. That sort of finish is sort of reserved for NASCAR, not for Project Cars 2.
And it was 0 to 100 as well. I mean, excuse the pun, but I mean, look, it was right at the end of the race as well. Suddenly we had a huge contention, but we do have one of the racers on standby to see, well, what his experience was throughout the whole thing.
Here with Jordan Penne, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty awesome, actually. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, and you would be. And that finish was just everything. You know, all the excitement we could ask for. So emotional. Talk us through what happened.
I decided to go with the stable setup for the first time in the championship, and I realised that they were actually doing pretty fast, so I decided to just back off mid-race and save my tyres for the end, and just pushed really hard in those last 3 laps. And Scotty McQueen, Jolly doing the dirty and blocking me, so I was like, well, stuff this, you know, we're going to have a fight to the end, in which we did. So
Fantastic. And it puts you in the driver's seat. If not, we haven't confirmed yet, but you may have just clinched the championship. How are you feeling going into next week?
Feeling so much better than compared to last week where I retired from a race. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited to see the results.
Yeah, and you mentioned that bump at the end with McQueen. Are you going to expect a protest coming through this week?
Not at all, because of his behaviour before that. Actually, I would protest that he blocked me, so I should have been second anyway.
Yeah, we'll protest the protest for sure. And well, best of luck for next week, and great job, mate.
All right. Well, I mean, again, we haven't seen him for a while, but Jordan Penne is always, again, down to earth, but very, very humble.
Yeah, look, I think what we saw there is we were asking, are we going to see a protest from either? Now, you did see a lot of blocking there come from Scott McQueen. So at the end of the day, Jordan, you know, he was sitting in third position. He was keeping it calculated. He was letting those two battle it out for first and second. And when that moment came, he struck and he pounced. And he deserved that second because he definitely didn't block like Scott McQueen did. But at the end of the day, Scott McQueen is just trying to get those points. So well done to him too.
Yeah, and I do believe we have the Star Insurance Specialist fastest lap of the race to see who's going to get an extra championship point. And guys, are we really surprised? No. Jordan Penne taking it out again, earning himself again. It's essentially just taking points away from people who actually need them right now, because like we said, it's all but guaranteed that he's going to lock in that first place. There's some out there possibilities.
Well, there are the possibilities that he doesn't DNF again, or he does get things wrong. So it's not sealed and done, as far as we look at it. So there's a mathematical chance, I guess, and we're going to look and we're going to find it out next week. We're not going to announce it this week. So we're going to have champagne showers next week for the guys, and tomorrow we're going to have champagne showers at Hampton Downs as well when they first go head-to-head for the first time in real-life karting, which is going to be cool to see. But what a race tonight. Some really good battles, without a doubt.
Yeah, we've got to get a look at the standings as well, just to see where everyone is going to be sitting, because like we said, that was a tight result. It's going to mean a lot of things for a lot of different races. Penne is probably quite comfortable, but I want to see where we've got McQueen, we've got Richie, and importantly, Northway. So we'll take a look at that now. Penne is miles ahead of anyone else, actually essentially out of reach for all but the best races. McQueen and Richie, though, 3 points separate them, and Northway as well. With only a 15-point deficit behind third, he absolutely can break into the next position, break into third place, break into the money, and that's where he wants to be. In fact, at this stage, he could even break into second place if things go his way.
Well, the margin there between Penne and Scott McQueen is 53 points. 2 wins gets you 50. 2 fastest laps
52.
Gets you 52. So it's all but confirmed.
We're not going to announce it. We're not announcing anything.
There could be some protest, though. So, Scott McQueen, we might see a protest from him after that race. We definitely saw Jordan Penne coming across the nose of McQueen on that final, I guess, finishing straight. So, it could still be some more drama. Robert Northway down in P4 at the moment. Could potentially get Josh Ritchie in P3 there. If Josh has a bit of a bad run in the final 2 races, Northway could potentially jump up into that final
that is
position.
where the battle is really for this championship next week. Scott McQueen, Josh Ritchie, Robert Northway. There's $5,000 on the line there. So the gloves are off next week. We already saw the gloves off tonight. There was blocking, there was racing, there was rubbing. That's what we wanted to see. And I don't think it gets much better than that for sim racing. In New Zealand or anywhere in the world, to be honest.
Honestly, it was just fantastic to watch. And as well, you mentioned it, we've also got the guys going down to Hampton Downs tomorrow, which is going to be so much fun to watch. We'll definitely make sure everyone can watch at home. As you can see, the beautiful Hampton Downs, the go-karts. And these guys have been on the track before, some in wet weather, some in, the very, very clear. But, I mean, you guys have said maybe Louis is actually going to come out on top here, because we saw on the leaderboard, it was actually down in last place, but Louis could do something here.
Yeah, it's really different, obviously, when you're qualifying in a sim or you're racing in a simulator. But when you put 8 people side by side down the front straight of any track, go-kart or not, your adrenaline kicks in, you know, you start getting tingles. You know, our boys send it down the front straight at 220 or 210 kilometres an hour, and then they chuck it sideways at Pukekohe. So these guys are going to have that real-life taste for the first time at Hampton Downs tomorrow. We're going to see highlights of that on the show next week. Hopefully we don't see anyone rolling, but we do see some action. We do see some crashes. Scott McQueen, Jordan Penne, tomorrow we're calling them out on the go-karts. That's going to be interesting.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to be pretty much it for us today. But one more reminder is to jump onto Twitter and tweet at Let's Play Live HQ with the hashtag ProjectCars2NZ. Why are you doing this? Because you can earn yourself a copy of the game to play at home. And all you have to do is tell us, what is the best road trip song? I mean, look, we've had a few suggestions. Carry On My Wayward Son was my one. We've had The Highway to Hell. Danger Zone. How did no one say Highway to Hell? Come on, guys. I'm going to say Highway to Hell. I'm changing my mind. But that's what you need to do to go earn yourself a copy of the game. But ladies and gentlemen, we've only got one more week to go. So make sure you tune in next week at the same time on the same channel, because we're going to be back here with the final week of the Project Cars 2 New Zealand Championship. So make sure you catch that one.
This Let's Play Live presentation was brought to you by Star Insurance Specialists, New Zealand's leading niche vehicle insurance provider. SkyCITY, world-class entertainment. Logitech G, gaming with science. And Samsung, redefine the game.